Seattle Sports Snapshot.
There is a new Seahawks. Seattle made their pick at 32 last night, despite talk that they'd trade back, replenishing a shallow running back room with Notre Dame's Jadarian Price. They're back on the board today with two picks, numbers 64 and 96. The Mariners open up a 3-game weekend series against the Cardinals tonight. Here's how you can listen to both the draft coverage and Mariners. Mariners coverage starts at 4 p.m., first pitch at 5:15 on Seattle Sports 710 a.m. and the app. Meanwhile, you can check wall-to-wall coverage of the draft on our alternate feed on the Seattle Sports app or live on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
It actually happened. The Seahawks made a pick at 32 overall. Now, when a number of teams traded back ahead of them in the first round, I think we started wondering if, are they going to be out of some options here? This isn't making it easier. Last time, I was immediately thinking of the 2020 draft when they wanted to trade back, and rather than take Jordan Brooks there, they wanted to be able to move back a little bit. They had a deal that fell through with the Packers, who traded one spot ahead of them to take Jordan Love. So when this was happening, I was going, oh, man, are we going to see this again? Is it going to be a deal that maybe falls through? Was there another team they were talking to, maybe a Miami that they tried to talk
things
to?
Things got fast on them last night.
Yeah, it sure
Sped
did.
up.
And so instead, on the clock, no trade, pick is in. And what we hear is Notre Dame running back Jadarian Price, who, side note, this isn't about Jadarian, but the guy, Dylan, that made the announcement, loved the energy. I loved Dylan being like, excuse me, Raj, step to the side.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and take this moment right
cut a
here.
wrestling promo
Shout out
here.
Dylan, who crushed it in his moment, and then announcing the pick, including the correct pronunciation of Jadarian Price. Nailed it. But Jadarian Price is a Seattle Seahawk, and Curtis, I immediately thought of you and Bump, both of whom have been campaigning for the Seahawks to make this pick.
You had to leave Pittsburgh with Jadarian Price wearing a Seattle Seahawks hat. That had to happen in some way, shape, or form over the course of this weekend, because you were not going to get many more bites at the apple at the running back spot if you passed on him at 32, because I don't think there was a guarantee that he would be there late 30s, early 40s if you moved down and started picking at the start of the second round. And especially when you had, Buffalo move out of the first round and San Francisco move out of the first round. Those are two spots where they probably had conversations with the teams that were holding those second-round picks, and those picks went away. And so we heard John Schneider say in his post-draft presser yesterday, saying, we had some things fall through for us. That's why we ended up picking at 32. I don't think the Seahawks were disappointed in the player they got. I think maybe just disappointed that they weren't able to turn that pick into other picks.
Sure.
But you got your biggest need checked, and it also happened to be the best player available at that biggest need. And look, they didn't overthink it in that spot. They didn't get cute. They just went and grabbed the guy that they absolutely had to have, something that you could say about last year's first-round pick in Gray Zabel and the first-round pick prior to Gray Zabel in Byron Murphy. This is a trend we're now seeing in Mike McDonald's tenure, is let's not overthink it. Let's get the guy who is going to make us the best team possible at our weakest spot, and I think that's exactly what Price does here.
Well, and I want to keep looking at that idea of addressing that weakest spot versus getting the best player available. I certainly think that there is a world. I'm not saying that this is definitively what it was, but I think that there's a world where the Seahawks had a player, probably several players, above Price on their board, and they were gone. We'll never know if the choice came down between Chris Johnson and Jadarian Price, if the Seahawks would have chosen Chris Johnson, because Johnson went earlier to Miami, who I thought was a great pick by them. They need to address that room, and I think they got a perfect fit for them. A couple other guys that I'm sure the Seahawks would have loved to see fall to them. I'm not talking about a Jeremiah Love dropping all the way to 32. That never would have happened. But I'm talking about, a really solid defensive lineman or one of the edge rushers that maybe could have slipped 5 spots lower than you think. It just didn't happen. Right. So it was, looking at Colton Hood there, I was wondering if they would go with him, go with one of those corners still remaining. And they didn't. They went with Jadarian. And I will say this. I find it interesting that leading up to the draft, this is me being passive-aggressive, I find it interesting that leading up to the draft, there was lots of talk about, hey, the Seahawks could really use a running back.
Right.
And people kept pointing to that interview from the John Schneider show where John Schneider said, what is it, March? At the time it was March. And he said, like, you can find
got
guys.
5 months.
This is a position where you can find guys. He had a great story about his time in Green Bay where, they needed some depth there and quite literally found a guy and he ended up performing. I think what John means is that you don't need to go out of your way to overpay, to overdraft, to go above and beyond at a position that relies on a lot of not only natural athleticism, but also just like a good scheme fit, a good system around him, like that you can kind of plug and play more so than other positions. However, I heard a lot of trust John.
Mm-hmm.
Trust John. Just trust John. He's going to get the best guy. Trust John.
Right.
Stop worrying about the running back room. Look, I'm not saying John's worried about the running back room, but now that John and Mike have made this pick, I'm seeing some questions about they reached. Well, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
I thought it was trust John.
Ways.
I'm just saying, like, there's a world where John Schneider, who is very aware of his own philosophy of going with the best player, might have had Price above some other guys that you liked.
I think that's a very real possibility. I think that's exactly what happened. I think that the Seahawks sticking to their guns and saying we are a run-first team and taking a running back this year. You took an offensive lineman last year. That is, those are two guys that especially are great in the outside zone. Like I think what the Seahawks have done is really set themselves up. And you also look at like people are still kind of bummed that Ken Walker was let go in free agency. And you look at the amount of cap space the Seahawks have, and it's like, yeah, they could have made that contract work. But Ken Walker is getting paid $15 million this season by the Kansas City Chiefs. You know how much money Price is going to be making over the first 3 years of his deal here in Seattle? $16 million. Mm-hmm. You have gotten a guy with, I think, the potential of Ken Walker, maybe even, who knows, maybe even a little bit more. He doesn't have as much tread on his tires that Ken Walker had entering the league. Price is pretty unproven for a first-round running back, but I think the Seahawks have done about as good as they could do in addressing this spot because I don't think they were going to break the bank for any of those free agent running backs, and clearly they didn't. Yeah. And so now you bring in a guy who is, 22 years old. By the time his contract runs out, will probably be 26, 27 years old, depending on if they ever pick up that fifth-year option. We can't project 5 years into the future, but like you are going to get him for his very prime years as a running back, and that is going to be a really big thing going forward for the Seahawks team, a team that has made no bones about who they want to be, and that is a run-first operation.
It's why I liked the pick. I really did. I didn't think it was a reach. And the thing is, like, we knew about Jadarian Price. When they drafted L.J. Collier, who most people assume John is talking about when he talks about reaching in past drafts, he's never said a player by name because he's a little too classy for that, but we've all assumed that L.J. Collier is one of those players. I didn't know a ton about L.J.
Right.
I didn't see many mocks with him in the first round. And it was similarly, the Seahawks, I believe, that year didn't have a second rounder, I think, or they badly needed defensive line help after dealing Clark, and I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but there was a run on defensive linemen, then there was going to be a massive drop-off. So I can see the carryover with looking at this class going, man, the number 2 running back's going to go, and then there's a massive drop-off. Did they reach? Again, like Curtis said, probably. Like in their perfect dream world, they probably trade back and still get a chance to take Price, but clearly they felt that it was not worth missing out on Price. Yeah. And if they wanted Colton Hood, he could have been there. If they wanted another defensive lineman, he was there too. I think it's possible that John Schneider likes Jadarian more than you do. If you're someone who's like super against this pick, I don't know, man. I think John Schneider has learned a lot of really difficult lessons as a GM. I don't think he's repeating past mistakes. I think this might be one of those perfect mergers where you have a serious need, I think, and also a guy where you thought, maybe if there's like one guy I like more than him, I really like this guy.
Yeah.
He's got good character, smart, tough, reliable, like we were talking about with Brady yesterday. He fits with the scheme, with what we want to do. Doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. And we're not using pick 15 on him.
Right.
We're not using pick 20 on him. We're using 32.
Well, and I think a lot of people who are against this pick just cling to the mantra of not drafting a running back in the first round, no matter what, no matter who is there. Like, you can get running back value throughout the draft, and it's a position that has a short shelf life. Yes, I get that. But also, if that is like one of your only few needs on your roster, like let's look at the whole scope of the Seahawks roster right now. Like, they're in a really good spot to get back to a Super Bowl, I think, even without Jadarian Price on the roster.
Tread lightly, you're ruining my 10:45 tease.
I'm sorry. But, like...
Let's not forget who's driving.
Okay, sorry. But, like, they have so few needs on this roster.
It's a good point. It's a great point.
Like, they filled out a need that they had entering last night, and now all of a sudden your roster is more complete.
Yep.
Oh, no. What a horrible thing. Oh, darn. They filled a need.
No, here's what I think happened, and I completely understand. Not only do I think running backs just are genuinely undervalued, and so even if it's pick 32, I think people bristle at a first-rounder being used at a running back in general. It would be like using a first-rounder on a safety, which was done last night, using a first-rounder on a tight end, also done last night. There are certain positions where people just think, like, it is really hard to have that kind of return in value, and I completely understand. However... Curtis, you make a phenomenal point, which is if your whole goal is to get back to a Super Bowl, did getting the best running back available to you do that or not? It did?
I think.
Then what are we fighting about?
Right. I think there's just people who have clinged to these philosophies. And look, I've been guilty of that too. I think running back is a spot where more often than not you can kind of plug and play and get production out of guys who you probably didn't think were ever going to be there. I mean, a recent example here in Seattle was Chris Carson, a 7th-round pick, who shows up to camp and wows everybody, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. And sure enough, he became a multi-time 1,000-yard rusher before injuries caught up to him. But I think that John Schneider has shown, and he said it with Wyman and Bob a few weeks ago, like, we're not drafting for the NFL. We're drafting for ourselves. Like, we do not care what anybody has to say about our picks, because ultimately we know the most about these guys. We know who's going to fit our team the best. We know what route, what direction we want to go with all these picks. And Price was the guy at 32 that fit what they were looking for. And also, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, there's no guarantee he was going to be there at pick 64. In fact, based off of
wouldn't have been
based off of like kind of how the second round has started to shape up, I don't think he makes it past the mid portion of the second round. So it's going to be like where the Seahawks took him, like there was no other choice there other than to take
exactly.
Price.
I've had probably no less than 15 to 20 people tell me about the tread on the tires misuse. Right. I know that I said it wrong. I totally get that. I was cooking though. I was cooking. So
he's got a lot of tread on his tires.
He's got a lot of tread, but you just had to let me go in that one. You just had to go. I know what she meant.
Yeah.
I know what she meant. Let her cook. Okay. I was on a roll. I wasn't going to go back. But no, yes, I misspoke, but you just got to leave it alone. You just got to let it go.
Look,
you
we're
get what I'm saying.
We're not car people,
Look,
all right? Car Talk is a different show.
Car Talk is a different show, and you're picking up what I'm putting down. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen to what John Schneider had to say about the pick.
Yeah, great player, great person. We thought we had some opportunities for a minute. They fell apart. There's a lot of trading going on there right ahead of us. But I mean, he kind of stood alone. I mean, great player. The person's outstanding. The competitor. He's just he's a Seahawk. It's really cool. I mean, we were kind of actually concerned that people were going to go ahead of us because it was. It felt like it was just so out there, in terms of like mock drafts and what have you.
I thought that line, he kind of stood alone, is really telling about the decision, once it was made that they'd have to be picking there, how easy that might have felt.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, hey, we've got 3 or 4 defensive players higher, but we really need a running back. He kind of stood alone.
Yeah.
Look, at that point, a deal to trade back fell through. We didn't think he'd be available much later. We even wondered if someone would go up and get him. We know we have to make a pick. By that point, it was obvious who it would be. That, to me, is what John's saying here.
And I think also just kind of the movement in front of them. I think the big selection that really influenced the Seahawks' decision to stay was Chris Johnson getting taken by the Dolphins at pick 27. I
Yeah.
think if that was somebody that was available at 32, they probably would have gone Johnson at 32 or had tried their darndest to trade out of 32 to move back. But when you had Buffalo and San Francisco moving out of the first round to the 49ers getting the first pick of the second round, Buffalo at the third pick of the second round, then it kind of became, there's two less choices for the Seahawks to trade back into the draft, or to trade back into the second round, I should say. And all of a sudden now you're kind of forced to make a pick at pick 32.
We heard from Jadarian this morning on with Brock and Salk. We heard from Jadarian last night in an interview with reporters. There's so much stuff to get to. Coming up at 10:30, we've got 3 things you need to know from his first interview last night. We're going to go over some strengths and weaknesses, what he's bringing this group. And then we'll get to a bit later in the show a lot of what stood out in his interview with Brock and Salk. So we're kind of splitting that up into 2 separate interviews, 2 separate things, because there's so much to go over with him. Did the Seahawks get closer to a Super Bowl last night? That's coming up at 10:45. For everyone who's going, hi, hello, the Mariners are playing today at 5 against the Cardinals.
You're
Don't worry.
right. You're correct.
Absolutely right. We've got you covered. 11 a.m. is going to be pretty Mariners-centric. While we do have a couple NFL stories in the timeline at 11:30, we've got Ryan Rowland-Smith joining us at 11. 15 minutes with an interview there with Ryan. And then we're going Mariners 11:45 to talk about what we need to see in this series against the Cardinals. So if you're looking to get that fixed, we have you covered.
And we're on until 3 again today.
And we're on until 3 again today, so we're going to get back to the Mariners a little bit later. But just so you know, most of our next hour is definitely going to be focused on that series. A big road trip here, a chance to, I think, see a 100% increase in your win total on the road.
Sure hope so.
I think that's certainly possible tonight. I don't know if it's possible to see a 100% increase in your loss total. That's actually impossible.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to see them lose 8 in a row again on the road.
I certainly don't. But don't worry. And then Brady Henderson is back with us beginning at noon. So for anyone who's like, okay, Mariners are cool, but look, I need to talk about the importance of these 2 picks today. Don't worry. We also got you covered there. We have a lot going on in a 5-hour show today. Right now, let's get to Headline Rewrites.
Extra, extra, real
Headline Rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news.
Powered by Bay Alarm Security Services.
With Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Rams stunned everyone by taking Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson at pick number 13 last night. What's the real headline? Stacy.
Hope this works out better than the last time someone named Simpson with a 2-letter first name called LA home.
I sure hope so. Whoever wrote that.
Thanks for putting me in that spot.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's talk about it here because coming up a bit later, we'll talk about some of our surprises. I don't think it's too much of a repeat to talk about them here. This was your single biggest surprise from night 1.
Yeah, I was not expecting Ty Simpson to get taken that high. I think we all kind of thought Arizona was going to maybe trade back into the first round to get him or wait till early round 2. The Rams are going to need to find their heir apparent for Matthew Stafford soon, but in a go-for-it year, having pick 13 and basically stashing it, that's a huge win for the Seahawks.
I thought it was really fascinating in a relatively weak draft overall, a weak quarterback class certainly, as opposed to next year's much stronger quarterback class that the Rams did this. It was a team with very much in the middle of a contention window, a strong contention window where it's like win a Super Bowl right now is looking ahead. I also think that there's certainly a world, and this feels very obvious, where they fell in love with this player and they thought, this is our guy. I didn't realize how few first-round picks they've made under Sean McVay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it should be very obvious in hindsight, since it used to be the thing we'd talk about, that the Rams were routinely trading these picks. And I remember being like, yeah, great idea, proven talent, and it's young players, you're getting them in here. And it's paid off. You've won a Super Bowl. But I didn't realize there had been like one previously. And it's the first quarterback under Sean McVay, drafted under Sean McVay.
Right.
So clearly a guy that they absolutely love. I thought it was overall good news for Seattle. I wondered, we'd had Bump on and he talked about Lemon as a crazy good target there. There's a couple defensive players that we didn't want to see the Rams take because they could have a much more significant impact this year. So overall, good news for Seattle. in a very intriguing pick for LA that I'm going to be, for obvious reasons, watching closely, but I'm glad that it doesn't matter right now.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Jeremiah Love was taken by the Cardinals at pick number 3. What's the real headline?
Hope he loves not having a quarterback.
Yeah, it's all Jeremiah Love in Arizona.
They should not have taken Ty Simpson there. This wasn't the wrong decision. I was a little surprised. So many mocks had Jeremiah going at number 4 to Tennessee, who did go offense no matter what, Vontae Mack no matter what. But they went wide receiver instead with Love off the board. I love Jeremiah Love, and I'm bummed that we're going to be seeing him twice a year in another uniform.
It does feel like he might just kind of rot away, though, in Arizona, because I don't know if they're ever going to be contenders over the course of his rookie deal, which, by the way, his rookie deal now vaults him to being one of the highest paid running backs in the league, because I think he's going to make like $50 million guaranteed over the course of it. But I look at the guys that went after Love. The one that kind of I'm really surprised that Arizona passed on was like Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. You can never have enough pass rushers, and
he's so versatile.
He is. I don't know if they needed Carnell Tate in Arizona, especially Marvin Harrison Jr., but I don't know. It's a weird decision to go running back at number 3 overall. Maybe they could have gotten maybe they were worried that Tennessee was going to take him at number 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a lot of money to give to a running back.
Yes. I'll say this. No one tell Bump. A public apology to Michael Bumpus. No one tell Bump. Because he did really like Love to Arizona and kept saying, like, I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to take him. And I was like, okay. Then why did they add Tyler Algier? Then why are they reloading in that running back room in free agency? That's stupid, Bump. That's so stupid. So I'm sorry to Bump. No one tell him I said that. What's next? Can we actually skip to the third one, Matt? The fourth one, excuse me.
All right.
The fourth one. It's just an honorary fourth headline for Matt Nelson. So you're going to read the headline rewrite here. Curtis,
That's me. I'm going to read it,
and Matt's reading the headline rewrite.
The Seahawks drafted Denison, Texas native Jadarian Price, who went to the same high school as Captain Sully Sullenberger, famous for safely landing a plane on the Hudson River. What's the real headline?
One struck a bird. The other became one. This is their story.
Only Curtis and I think it's funny. It's so funny that I was like, forget this other third headline. Curtis texted. So this morning, wonderful interview with Brock and Salk. They asked him, who's the most famous person from your hometown? It's not a tiny town, but about 25,000 people. And he mentioned, Fred Washington and a couple other guys. And then Curtis, you went on Wikipedia, of course, and you go, oh, Sully Sullenberger.
Yeah, he's pretty famous.
Famously portrayed by Tom Hanks. In the movie about landing the plane safely on the Hudson. Also he may be the most famous graduate of Jadarian Price's high school, unfortunately for Jadarian and everyone else. And then he texted this to Matt, and Matt said that back. It wasn't even like he was trying to be funny. One struck a bird, the other became one, and we were like, we have to. Yeah. We were cackling about it forever.
Very movie trailer-esque.
Yeah. So
that was the goal.
This is entirely for me and Curtis and not for listeners. It was amazing. You are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. ESPN's Brady Henderson joining us at noon. Coming up, what we learned from Jadarian's first meeting with Seattle reporters last night.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Kimosabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Bull riding is not just a sport. It's a gamble of guts and glory. Nothing else compares. It's Cooper Tire's PBR Tacoma at Tacoma Dome this weekend. Ready to be cowboy? Get your tickets at Ticketmaster. It's bull time.
Unbelievable prices? Incredible performance? Bah! At Pacific Power Batteries, we strive to be believable. In fact, product knowledge and guidance in application gives us credibility. Having an informative website just adds to it. At Pacific Power Batteries, our prices and values are believable. We look for great people to hire and train carefully to be credible. Locally owned, credible company with believable salespeople is the best that we at Pacific Power Batteries can provide.
It's funny how you get used to things in not so ideal condition around the house. It's Dave Wyman here, and for me, it was old windows. After 20 years in our home, virtually every window had a broken seal. We got used to cold drafts, outside noises, and condensation. And if you're in the same boat, use this spring to say goodbye to the old, dreary windows and hello to your new exclusive windows from Harley Exteriors. Right now, they're having a spring cleaning sale to complete your home makeover. If you buy 10 windows, you can choose between 20% off your entire project or get a free door. On top of that, make 0 payments and accumulate 0 interest for up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Harley Exteriors windows are a massive upgrade, manufactured right here in the Pacific Northwest and exclusive to Harley Exteriors. Call 833-HARLEY, that's HARLEY, or go to harleyexteriors.com. Schedule your free consultation today at harleyexteriors.com.
John Curley here. This baseball season, step up to the plate and get the price of a new heating and cooling system in just 60 seconds on your phone with no pressure. Don't wait. Call the comfort people. HomeComfortAlliance.com. That's HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Robert was in big trouble with the IRS.
Yes, I owed them a lot of money, over $52,000.
Then he heard about Civic Tax Relief.
They took great care of me. It went really quick. $52,000 that I owed, and they had a payoff for $100, and the IRS accepted it. Man.
Off the hook for just $100?
Civic Tax Relief will take care of you. Give them a call.
Call Civic Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation. 800-881-4555. 800-881-4555. Individual results may vary. Visit civictaxrelief.com for more information.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a cybersecurity engineer at a publicly traded company.
We've been hacked! They're through our firewall!
How is that even possible?
They got my password.
Please don't tell me your password was password.
It's actually password 1.
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
Shopping for a new Mazda? Shop the West Coast's largest Mazda dealer, Mazda of Everett. With more new Mazdas in stock than any dealer in the region. Shop over 780 new Mazdas. Click on the Mazda of Everett price. At Mazda of Everett, exceptional customer satisfaction is the standard. Plus, at Mazda of Everett, you negotiate directly with the owner. Locally owned, trusted by thousands. Shop MazdaofEverett.com and see why we're #1.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Hello, my friends. It's DeGraws here, encouraging you to golf local. Our region is blessed with a ton of golf that isn't very expensive and can accommodate all types of skill levels. Check out the premier courses at Bellevue, Bill Wright, Cedar Crest, Inter Bay, Jackson Park, Lake Padden, Legion Memorial, Linwood, or Walter Hall. You know, wherever you are in Western Washington, you're not far from a premier course. Why not book a tee time online or play Top Tracer at the range at Inter Bay, Bill Wright, and Jackson Park? So what are you waiting for? Play the courses. Play Premier.
Step inside and let the excitement take you places.
This is Muckleshoot Casino Resort, the ultimate spot for action that reaches incredible heights, luxury that knows no bounds, and live entertainment that always thrills. It's all at one incredible destination. So when you look for the best, look nowhere else. Muckleshoot Casino Resort, the biggest and best in the Northwest. Muckleshoot.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I just saw a tweet about the 8-minute rounds and quite a few people being really upset because the TV broadcast was so delayed. I really liked the 8-minute pick.
It went by
not
quick.
round. The 8 minutes, the shorter clock for first round picks.
Yeah.
I'm sure GMs didn't love it, but I thought that it made the first round fly by in a way that I appreciated, sitting at pick number 32. I think maybe what happened is just, look, it's the first time doing that with a broadcast that you've been doing for years, and maybe there's just lessons that they're gonna take in terms of their coverage to make sure that they're a little more up to speed with. But like, it's the first year doing it.
I think if you watched without going on social media,
it was fine.
It was fine.
Perfectly fine.
There was nothing wrong at all. And I tried to stay off social media as much as I could last night just because I wanted to be.
You're a purist.
Yeah, I was watching ethically,
of
as
course.
I like to say. I'm an ethical draft watcher. But once it got to like mid portion of the round, later portion of the round, I did happen to go on social media, and it was like, whoa, we're like 3 picks behind here. Like, this is pretty ridiculous. And I feel bad for like our guys who were doing draft coverage over at Seahawks headquarters last night, because like they're all on social media for sure, watching the reactions and trying to see kind of how the board is shaping up for the Seahawks. And meanwhile, you're in that spot and you can't just be like, well, the Seahawks are in 2 picks, but I know what's going to happen because Mike Garafolo tweeted out who the Seahawks are going to take. Like, you got to leave some kind of surprise to it, build up the reaction. But all in all, I thought it was a really good draft viewing experience if you take away social media.
I think people just love complaining. Like, we're in a world where people not only have to have a take, which I get, I have to have a take, but people love complaining. And if what you're complaining about is something that always happens, there's always a delay between the broadcast and what you're seeing on Twitter, but B, something that's like relatively new, right? Like, they're figuring it out. I'm sure that the broadcast teams don't love that they're running behind by that much. Like, I'm sure they're also going, oh shoot, like there's some notes we can take from this. I loved it, man. What are we complaining about? It's the draft.
And then we all have to bow to the advertisers
of course.
They run everything. And so the NFL has to get all these commercial breaks in because they've sold the time slots, they've sold the ad space.
And now it's a lesson learned where to cut back. Like,
exactly.
they need to do that. They can't have it. I mean, we were like 2 picks behind. They can't have it doing that. Now they know, like, okay, you cut back on the analysis or you said less ad space. I'll tell you what decision they are going to make.
As somebody that has been able to just watch the draft on TV the last couple of years, I haven't been asked to produce draft coverage for a few years because it always goes to the afternoon show, and I've been in middays with this show for 6 years now. Like, getting to watch it on TV is, I've always liked how long it is. Now, I'm sure the guys who are doing the draft coverage are like, oh man, it goes on forever and ever and ever. But I remember as a kid, Saturday, we talked about this with Brady. It was draft day Saturday. They would do all 7 rounds in one day, and you'd get up early in the morning. The draft would start probably at like 8, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and then go till, I don't know, like 6 p.m. or whatever. They bang out all the picks in one day, which is just ridiculous. And they would also have 15 minutes in between each first-round pick. So the first round would go like 4 or 5 hours, and then you had to do the rest of the draft in that same day. So I think this is a much better way to watch the draft. Space it out, but also you get the majority of the picks. You get the important picks all in one day. So I kind of like what the draft was last night.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
we heard from Jadarian Price twice in the last 24 hours. Once was last night with reporters. Once was this morning with Brock and Salk. So we're going to take a listen to a lot of what we learned first when Jadarian knew the Seahawks were interested.
I mean, you hear a lot of things, and being the person I am, I try not to listen to all the noise and the media and NFL Network and everything. But I knew that Seattle was pretty interested in me, and they knew the type of player I was, what I bring for the program, and I didn't know what exactly was going to happen, but I'm so blessed to be in this position and be picked by Seattle Seahawks.
What really stood out to me was what he had to say about Seattle's offense.
Yeah, Seahawks, love to run the ball. You see what they did in the Super Bowl, and what really got them to that far, winning it all is, you got to run the ball, and what I can do in the backfield and also protecting the quarterback and catching out of the backfield is phenomenal. But also the stretch game, outside zone, that's my bread and butter. So just being able to make one decisive move and get vertical.
Yeah, the decisive move is obviously key, and he was praised for his quickness when it comes to, what scouts had to say about him. Mentioned being able to break tackles, quick to read, collect his feet, dart through creases, just like a high IQ player who has an underrated quickness, considering it's a 4.49 40 that is quicker game speed than it would seem.
Everything we've heard about him kind of fits the bill of like what Ken Walker was in terms of explosiveness. I know Rob Staten has been hammering that home in his weekly visits with us, where, if you look at what Jadarian Price does really well, Ken Walker does that, Ken Walker does that, Ken Walker does that. It's, 4 or 5 different traits that those guys share. And I also really like just kind of all we've heard about Price in his makeup and his character, not just from John Schneider and Mike McDonald last night, but also people who have covered him over the course of his career. I think it was Mike Denbrock, the Notre Dame OC, who was on with Brock and Salk a couple weeks ago talking about Price. We had Pete Sampson of The Athletic, who covers the Fighting Irish for them, talking about how Price reminds him of Julian Love, and we all know how great of a guy Julian Love is, and a high character guy. Love has been here in Seattle during his time with the Seahawks. So, those are the kinds of guys that you want. And I think it also kind of it follows a trend that the Seahawks have been doing here over the last few drafts, of just drafting these guys that people would consider high character guys. I mean, Devin Witherspoon, JSN, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet. You've got Gray Zabel last year, Nick Emanwari. I mean, it just all these guys, Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Ken Walker, Abe Lucas, Kobe Bryant, Reek Wool, so many guys that you look at him and you're like, you know what? I don't got to worry about that guy off the field. Mm-hmm. Now, there was times earlier in John Schneider's tenure, most notably the Malik McDowell pick, where they would take chances on guys like that, and it would work out in some instances. Bruce Irvin, I think, being the biggest success story of a guy them taking
who ended up being also a wonderful leader in the pros. Not only stayed out of trouble, but genuinely became.
And they brought him back a few times
a great
too.
Character person for their team.
So they've kind of gone away from those risks, and I think you've been able to kind of see the success of these draft classes the Seahawks have put together over the last few years. You can kind of anticipate, just based off of how these guys are wired, that they can become something special in the league.
The Mariners head to St. Louis tonight to open a 3-game weekend series, so I got to tell you guys about some broadcasting stuff for Seattle sports. Obviously, we're going to be carrying both things, but
we're crossing wires.
We're crossing wires here. So if you are listening in your car to 7:10 a.m. or on the radio, you'll be hearing the Mariners game. It's Mariners taking on the Cardinals with 4 p.m. pregame show, first pitch at 5:15. Do you know who's getting the start tonight?
I believe it's George Kirby.
Okay, thank you. So George Kirby on the mound tonight. So the first of this series against St. Louis on the road. You can also, obviously, listen to the Mariners game on the Seattle Sports app. That is also where you can find our wall-to-wall draft coverage. It's the same crew from last night, Dave Wyman, Michael Bumpus. Brian Walters is going to be there. I mentioned the same crew, and then I mentioned it's Brian Walters. They've joined Bob Stelton, so they're going to be on the Seattle Sports app. You can swap between both feeds on the app, or you can watch on the Seattle Sports YouTube page. So app and YouTube for draft.
Those are your friends.
App and radio for Mariners.
Yes.
I think I got it all.
Yes.
If you have any questions,
you got it.
Go to seattlesports.com. You're going to find all the information there. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. ESPN's Brady Henderson joining us in a little over an hour. Coming up next, a question for all of us to answer. Did the Seahawks get closer to a Super Bowl on Thursday night?
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon, with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle Sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Kimosabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Celebrate Mom with Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's Mother's Day weekend giveaway. You could win one of 100 designer handbags filled with prizes on Saturday, May 9th and Sunday, May 10th. Don't forget to book a stay at the new hotel. It's awesome. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. Head to snocasino.com for details. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Please game responsibly.
Spring is a perfect time to make improvements that protect and add value to your home. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. For decades, homeowners across the Pacific Northwest have trusted our team for roofing, siding, windows, and custom decking. This spring, save up to $3,000, or qualified homeowners can take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest up to 24 months. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule your free estimate.
Hour-and-a-half drive here. To have fun here for 8 to 9 hours a day versus if it's the other way around, then I'll take it.
Lee Johnson Auto Family, the LJ way.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
You can count on the Seattle Times for local news and information on your teams and your scores. Get inside the game and go beyond the stats with game summaries, player interviews, and play-by-play analysis every day. Read our coverage at seattletimes.com/sports.
With Popeye's new $6 faves menu, you can get this 3-piece chicken, this 3-piece tenders, this chicken sandwich, or these 2 regular sides for just $6 a piece. I know you can't see what I see, but trust me, those bold Louisiana flavors look so good, you might just have to get them all. Now there's an idea.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Ooh, that face. Quantum fiber internet loves that face.
That's Jamila.
Hey, Jamila.
She's thinking outside the box from inside the box.
Quantum fiber Wi-Fi keeps her meeting game strong. From the back door to the front lawn.
Rushing all of her video calls. Back to back to back video calls.
Quantum fiber internet blowing the soxies up all those people in all those boxes. Yay to you.
Switch today at quantumfiber.com. Additional pods may be needed to achieve Wi-Fi coverage in some locations. Limited availability. Service in select locations only.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold has increased in value by over 12,000%. Central banks are buying gold at record levels. Major firms are holding significant positions in gold, and I choose to buy gold from Birch Gold Group. It's Dan Bongino, and it all starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase if you qualify. And you can get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But act now. This special event only runs through April 30th. So text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Dan to 989898 today. Message and data rates may apply.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive home and auto bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bump and Stacy
weekdays 10 to 2.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Talking Mariners with Ryan Rowland-Smith in less than 15 minutes. Before we get to that, a question for all of us to answer here. Did the Seahawks get closer to a Super Bowl last night? Didn't have to be a big step. It could be a small step, incremental gains. Or maybe you think it was a horrible pick and you didn't agree with going running back and you wanted to see him trade back, whatever it was. Did the Seahawks get closer to a Super Bowl last night? Curtis.
I think they are feeling a lot better about their offseason after taking Jadarian Price last night. I think it has probably picked up morale, I think, among a few Seahawks fans because we didn't know what the running back situation was going to look like for about a month and a half now because you saw Ken Walker depart in free agency, and then they didn't really address that other than Emmanuel Wilson, who is not a starting running back in the league, hasn't ever been one. Did they get closer to a Super Bowl Thursday night than where they were Wednesday night? Yeah, I think they absolutely did. I think you look at this team, pound for pound, it's very similar to the team that they took to a Super Bowl last year, minus a few parts on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to be a little more unproven in your depth with guys like Kobe Bryant and Boye Mafe moving on, Reek Woolen as well. But I think those guys and what they were able to do can be replaced. I don't think they're irreplaceable. Now, is it going to be a carbon copy of what they're able to do maybe if you get those guys in the draft? I don't know. But you can still find impact at those positions. And we've heard from, I think it was Rob Staten who said, the real meat of this draft is going to be in the middle rounds. You do have a third-round pick. That second-round pick at pick 64, I kind of wonder if they maybe try to move that and move back into the early third round, maybe pick up another day 3 pick at some point.
Yeah, so everyone knows right now they're at 64, 96, and then they have a day 3. Day
sixth
3
rounder on day 3. But yes, I think the Seahawks last night are closer to a Super Bowl than they were at the beginning part of this week.
866-979-3776 is the text line. So far, yes. It sounds like people felt like there were still question marks with the running back room. I know that some people were really high on Holani, and I've been hearing about Kenny McIntosh forever, not just last year prior to him tearing his ACL. Even after he tore his ACL, we had people during the season going, what about Kenny? And we'd have to be like, he's actually not playing. He's on the season-ending injured reserve. So he's had a couple people in his corner for a while, and any kind of what feels like untapped potential on a roster is always going to have that. It was like John Ursua when he was here. People were like, well, I don't know. I remember being excited about this guy, and then we didn't see him.
John Ursua.
Had people in his corner, and that's how I feel about Kenny McIntosh. I get it. But timelines are shaky with both of those guys. I know Kenny McIntosh, in theory, is healthy and ready to go, but Mike McDonald also didn't commit to a timeline for him. He was asked about Charbonnet's timeline during last night's press conference and didn't commit to that either, though did say he's really optimistic about him. If anyone can come back earlier than expected, it's Zach. Lots of good stuff to say, but yeah, it's a real area of need that I and many other people have kind of wanted answered more definitively. Now, you aren't getting someone who was even like a starter in college. He didn't start at all at Notre Dame.
0 starts.
0 starts. And for a lot of people, that was enough of a red flag to want to go defense or want to go with a corner there or someone else. But I think this is a perfect overlapping of, look, the reality is you needed some depth in that room. The reality is it's not a good running back class, and the next best guy was not going to give you some of that explosiveness and maybe even not some of the maybe they fell in love with his character too and personality. Pete Sampson said he reminded him a bit of Julian Love, right? They clearly love this guy.
I also think people looking at the 0 starts as a reason for concern. You also got to look at the context of why there were 0 starts.
Well, and look at the context
the guy
of where
in front of him went number 3 overall.
And look at the context of where you're taking him. We're talking about pick 32. If this is pick 36, 4 picks later, is anyone as concerned, or is it just having that first round label on it that makes you feel like it's a waste if it's not like every answer is there, it's a perfect prospect. There's no perfect prospect. One of the guys taken above Jadarian is going to be a bust. And maybe Jadarian is too, but I really like him. I really like his personality as a fit. I really like his skills as a fit. And I don't think that the Seahawks are looking for a guy that is this top of the line, he's going to be our main guy. I think they're looking for someone reliable who can work hard, has great athleticism and explosiveness, and can be part of a committee. That's what they want. That's what they need. And they didn't have that before. And I don't think that they get to and win a Super Bowl without it. So, yes, I think they did get closer to it last night.
Yeah. Expecting Price to be a 20 to 25 down or 20 to 25 play running back right out of the gate, I don't know. I don't think that's a fair expectation of him considering what his workload was in college. Now, I think 10 to 15 carries might be a little bit more to the Seahawks' liking. I think in a perfect world, Price is your starter to start the season with probably Emmanuel Wilson and George Halani. I think those are your top 3 guys heading into the season with, the expectation that Charbonnet comes back, and then when Charbonnet is back, he ascends to the starting role. It is a lot of expectation, I think, for a guy who doesn't really have a ton of experience. I mean, he only had, 280 carries combined over his seasons at Notre Dame, but he was pretty effective in those carries.
We only have a minute here, so I want to throw you this argument from the 808. Well, I think the reason they won a Super Bowl was their defense, and their defense didn't get better. Because of that, no, they didn't get closer to winning a Super Bowl.
That's fair. I think that's fair, but how did they why were they so good offensively in the postseason and really the final weeks of the regular season too? Ken Walker
had 300-plus yards over 3 games in the postseason. I just want to make that clear. Ken Walker had over 300 yards in those 3 postseason games.
Mm-hmm. And the run game got going when it mattered most. They didn't turn the ball over, and they were able to pull out the Rams game because the run game was so good. They were able to dominate the 49ers in both games because the run game was so good. And now you have brought in a very talented running back to add to a group that, is in a system that is very beneficial towards the run game.
Yeah, I think that you don't get to and win a Super Bowl without that run game. And I also think that we tend to go, your defense was so good, that's what got you there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had the best defense in football last year by DVOA. That is what got you there if you're narrowing it down to percentage of a pie. You don't win without your offense being what it was.
Yeah.
You don't win without JSN getting you 1,800 yards in the regular season, and you don't win without Ken Walker rushing for 100 per basically in those last 3. By that point, Sam did not have the strongest finish to the season. Good championship game, NFC championship game, but not the sharpest Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was won with Ken Walker and that defense.
Not a great day for him.
Yeah, so the run is complementary to what you want to do defensively.
Yeah.
Philosophically and also just with with wanting to give those guys some rest and keep them sharp and fresh. So I loved it. I love the pick. Let's take a quick break. We're going to get back to the Seahawks at noon when ESPN's Brady Henderson joins us from Virginia Mason Athletic Center, where rounds 2 and 3 of the draft is set to kick off at 4 p.m. Mariners broadcaster Ryan Rowland-Smith joins us next.
You can stream every pitch of every inning of every game all season long. Oh, and it's completely free.
It's a tremendous catch.
Only on the Seattle Sports app. That's right. The free Seattle Sports app puts every single Mariners game right in the palm of your hand.
On a platter, come and get it.
One app, every game. Plus the latest Mariners news, insider access, video, and podcasts.
Holy smokes, what a play.
Pretty awesome, right? Just like the Mariners.
Hi, Andy Klein here. There's something special about a baseball game. The moments and the memories. At Klein Jewelers, that's exactly how we feel about our diamonds. They're a beautiful reminder of life's biggest moments. We're here to help you find the perfect diamond or beautiful piece of jewelry to celebrate your engagement, anniversary, birthday, promotion, or just because. Klein Jewelers by the Fountain in downtown Edmonds. Shine with Klein.
Upgrade your comfort and cut utility costs with Lake Washington Windows. Get 20% off energy-efficient windows and doors plus $1,000 off whole projects while taking 12 months to pay with no interest. Schedule your estimate by April 30th at lakewashingtonwindows.com.
Do you need a new roof? Then trust your neighbors at 3 Tree Roofing to get you taken care of this spring. Schedule your free estimate at 3treeroofing.com and secure $500 off your roof replacement. Right now, you can still take advantage of spring pricing and beat the summer rush. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
For those diagnosed with anxiety, depression, or PTSD, Northwest Ketamine Clinics wants you to know there is hope. After only 3 weeks of treatment, 86% of patients report a reduction in symptoms. Northwest Ketamine Clinics was the first ketamine clinic in the Northwest, opened 9 years ago. They now have locations in Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue, with more than 50,000 treatments given. Find reviews and video testimonials from real patients on their website, including Brandon.
To anyone thinking about giving it a try, if you have depression, ADHD, bipolar, any of those things feel like they would vastly benefit from it.
Everyone's path to healing is different. Schedule a free consultation today to find out if ketamine therapy is right for you. They have immediate availability, so you can get started this week. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest's most experienced ketamine center. Book a free phone or video consult at nwketamineclinics.com. Healing starts here.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
If you've gained 20, 30, or even 40 or more pounds over the past few years and nothing seems to work anymore, listen up. I'm Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss, and our completely medication-free program has helped thousands in Washington lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days. No drugs, no weekly shots, no muscle loss, no side effects, no forever monthly costs, just food, but the right type, in the right amount at the right time. All part of a detailed plan with expert coaching every step of the way that helps you reset your metabolism and burn fat. Schedule your free phone consult at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Yeah, Mike Salk here, and Dr. Coogan is right. I can attest to losing 35 pounds with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It works. It's safer, less expensive than alternatives, with no injections or pills, and no scary side effects. Schedule a free consult and find out for yourself.
Over 4,000 people have lost 20 to 30 pounds or more in just 60 days. Come to our clinic in Kirkland or do our program from anywhere you live with our remote options. Schedule your free phone consult online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Your old furnace ain't nice, and your toes are like ice.
DayandNight.net.
This month, Day and Night gives you a free furnace with the installation of an AC or heat pump.
If you're not sure your furnace will make it through another winter, call us to install a proper, long-lasting, efficient heating system backed by our lifetime workmanship guarantee, so you won't be left out in the cold.
Install an AC or heat pump and get a free furnace from Day and Night Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
DayandNight.net.
Deep to right field. Going. Goodbye, baseball.
At T-Mobile Park, you've always got the best seat in the house. But for a view that's a real home run,
check out right field. Make that the dump yard. Sure, it's a great spot to see our fearless outfielders fly, dive, and slide.
Wow! Victor Robles makes the catch!
But you might get to flash some leather too, because the forecast in the dump yard always calls for rain. Raining big dumper home runs, that is.
Number 60, the magical tour of Cal Raleigh just continues.
Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Score seats for less than $12 on select dates all season long with Mariners value games, including the upcoming series against the Braves May 4th through 6th. Plus, check out the expanded Mariners value menu and beer lineup, featuring 36 items and available every game. Get your tickets and check out all the value options at mariners.com/value.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners open up a 3-game weekend series against the Cardinals tonight on the road. Here's how you can listen to both the Mariners and our draft coverage. Mariners coverage starts at 4 p.m. First pitch is at 5:15 on Seattle Sports 7:10 a.m. and the Seattle Sports app. Meanwhile, you can catch wall-to-wall coverage of the NFL Draft on the alternate feed on the Seattle Sports app or live on the Seattle Sports YouTube page. For more information, visit seattlesports.com.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Okay, we're going to be pretty heavy Mariners in this hour, just given that so much of the rest of the show is going to be about the NFL Draft. As a reminder, we have rounds 2 and 3 coverage for night 2 of the NFL Draft. Coming up tonight from 4 to 9 p.m., it's going to be on the Seattle Sports YouTube page and the Seattle Sports app. So if you tune into, let's say, the radio or whatever, you're going to hear the Mariners game, which is great because you're probably also looking for that.
A likely place to find the
Mariners.
Mariners.
A likely place to look for it. So if you listen by traditional radio, you're going to hear Mariners. If you use the app, you can swap between both the Mariners game and our draft coverage. And then if you go on the Seattle Sports YouTube page, you can find video of our wall-to-wall draft coverage with all the guys there. Bob Stelton is going to be hosting, surrounded by Dave Wyman, Michael Bumpus, and Brian Walters. Let's get to the Mariners here. Joining us right now, Mariners broadcaster Ryan Rowland-Smith on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Ryan, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Great. It was not only a busy sports time is always really fun, but thank goodness the Mariners got that win, salvaged that series finale against the A's. And Ryan, I could not be happier with how they did it, 2 outs, stacking those 3 singles from the guys we've been asking you about forever.
Right.
Tell me what you loved about it.
Yeah, just exactly that. And, Josh Schneider making some hard contact into left field, did that a couple times in that game. But, we keep talking about it, and that's been kind of the theme in this first couple of weeks with some of the struggles they've had on the road, which they're about to go on another road trip, to the middle of that lineup, to Julio hitting a ton of balls on the ground, Cal hitting fly balls but not going out, Josh Schneider just making weaker contact. But, you think about that too. They were hitting 172 collectively, 266 on base percentage too. It was rough, and it's getting to that point where you get beyond it's early. However, what they did this weekend, 18 for 36 combined, was massive. I know it's disappointing, the fact they just took 1 of 3 from the Athletics, but just that in itself, in regards to everyone being able to take a breath a little bit and letting the middle of that lineup finally start to come together a little bit, it was massive for sure.
Yeah, the guy who did the most damage in that series was Cal with the 3 home runs in back-to-back games, Ryan. When you look at his swings in that A's series, did anything jump out to you as maybe a big difference you saw against the A's pitching compared to how the rest of the season has gone for him? Yeah,
one thing I was keen in on from last year, look, Cal, we know he has a lot of swing and miss, but he's always you couldn't just beat him with fastballs, especially in the strike zone in 2025. He's hit 60 home runs, obviously. This year, man, you could 93, 94, 95 was beating him in the strike zone, and then he was chasing to go along with it. The hard hit rate in 2025 was 57%. It was against the fastball. It was one of the best, top 15, hitters in the league in regards to hard hit percentage. Now all of a sudden it's down to 32. He's one of the worst in 2026. This weekend was a little bit different. I know he hit a couple breaking balls out, but the first at bat, 95, was able to lift that ball, get it out of the ballpark, wasn't missing it. If he can get to a place where we're seeing the same hard hit rate, same consistency, and same damage against the fastball, he's just simply not that easy to pitch against, just like we saw last year. So that's the biggest difference, in my opinion. I was spotting, in the last couple of games. I keep saying weekend. I know it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday
It
series.
feels like it a little bit, yeah. Because
it did, it did, yeah. Thank you.
I got you back, Ryan.
Cheers, thank you. But that, to me, if you are facing someone struggling, and you can pick up the fact that, all right, fastball with plus velocity behind it, that can be a safety net when you get to 2-0-2-1 if you're pitching against him. You couldn't do that last year. You could do that this year. These last couple of games are a little bit different. Slip behind and count, you're thinking, okay, I can beat him. You can't now. So if this trend keeps up, and again, how many times have I spoke to you guys on a Thursday, usually Thursday at 11 a.m., WBC, he's behind. We're starting to see the back end of that. He's starting to get beyond that, in my opinion, and he's starting to get that game speed where he's comfortable where he's at with some of these approaches. But he's the biggest one, man. Like, let's get real. Like, you're coming off a 60 home run season. You're going to have a target on your back.
Yeah.
So much is reliant on you to bring the offense, and you feel it, man. You're in the dugout too. So he hits 3 homers. Everyone can take a breath.
Ryan, it makes sense that you would think today's the start of the week because everything in Australia is backwards.
That's true, yeah.
The seasons are
we
different.
Have weeks in Australia.
Friday is the first day of the week. We all know that. The toilets flush the other way.
We're not that advanced.
First of all, also, Ryan, I adopted a dog from Australia, so now on behalf of him, I have to correct Curtis and say, watch your tone.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
My apologies.
Watch your tone.
Hold on. Let me get this clear. Wait, they flew the dog over, and you're saying like an Australian breed?
It's a greyhound, and he's from a racing track, and apparently they don't have any tracks in the U.S. anymore, so they take them from Ireland and other places in the U.K. and then Australia. He's on my phone cover. He looks kind of like a worm. You can't see him, but he's so cute. Anyways, he's Australian.
Do you think he would follow Ryan's commands better than yours?
I wonder if
like,
he would recognize.
This
No,
my
seriously,
countryman.
you think about it. For 3 years, he's lived in Australia around Australians.
Yeah.
Stacey, I'm going to give you a command right, that you can use from now on. Trust me.
Okay.
It drives me crazy now that I live here in the States. If you say tar, tar basically means like thank you or give. So I don't know if you've ever heard this. You're probably looking at me like I got two heads.
I am.
I'm just calling it. I'm looking at the camera right now. You're looking at me like, what is he talking about? But I promise you, you need to do this. If you're an Australian dog, I'm teaching you how to speak Australian right now.
Great.
Say tar, like tar, thank you. That's what you do. I'm telling you. That's a command for if anyone's got an Australian dog. There you go.
Ta?
Ta.
Okay.
Like T-A, yeah.
I'm going to take a video of it. I'll send it to you if he does something else.
Curtis is so like, can we get off this topic right now?
I know, sorry.
I was the one that brought us on this topic.
No, then I took us off the
okay.
rest. I want to ask you about the bullpen. It's funny. So this sounds like it's going to be a negative question, but it's where we were heading into the matinee series finale. So obviously they were coming off 2 losses. And I would normally talk to you on Thursday, so we've had to wait on this question, and thankfully now people are feeling really optimistic about the Mariners. But I want to ask you about the bullpen. One of our topics on Wednesday's show going into that game before we knew that they would win was, hey, what's the Mariners' problem? And we had a couple people going, I feel bad about the bullpen. And I get it. Munoz hadn't looked especially sharp. Legumina just the day before had given up those 3 runs, so I could understand the context of that. But I don't know, Ryan, when I looked at basic stuff like bullpen ERA, starter ERA, starters have looked great, and the bullpen ERA wasn't awful. I don't know. Even though it felt to a lot of listeners and we were getting a lot of questions like what's up with the bullpen, the numbers hadn't yet reflected that there was a big problem. But I wanted to ask you, if we're doing a temperature check right now, what are you feeling good about and what questions do you have?
I'm feeling good about. I'm good and bad, right? So I'll start with the good. Feeling good about The Gabe Spire, I was a little concerned watching him in March, if there was going to be some regress there with velocity, with command, with stuff. He lives off command, right? So, like, one of the highest first pitch strike percentages, one of the most in-zone pitches. When I was watching him at the WBC, I was like, man, everything is kind of flattening out a little bit, staying in the middle of the strike zone. Well, he's gotten past that. So Gabe Spire looks good, and he's not just a left-on-left anymore. He's going to be a 7th, 8th inning guy. Matt Brash yesterday pitched in that 7th inning, and there was a conversation in the dugout, are you going to go back out? They decided not to go with him back out to pitch in the 8th, and I kind of like that. Again, we're still April. He's looked really good, but it's going to pay dividends second half of the year. He's looked good. Jose Ferrer, I spoke to him after the game when he covered those 2 innings, looked really good. Lefties, if you look at the numbers against him, lefties are crushing him. A ground ball rate, he's a ground ball guy, like one of the highest ground ball rates. Ground ball rate isn't even there at all. Like a lot of balls in the air, a lot of soft contact in the air. He's still trying to learn a new slider they showed him to get lefties out because they want him more matching up against lefties, right? He, to me, I think he's so close to being really dominant. So you've got Gabe, Matt Brash, and Ferrer, that chunk at 6th, 7th, 8th inning. Once they get to a place where they can go back-to-back consistently and everything else, they're still missing that one guy, in my opinion. I thought Casey Legumina, I thought, okay, maybe he's going to be on the track here to step it up a little bit. Cole Wilcox, I'm still waiting for him for the stuff to show up too. Remember, it's his first time really in the big leagues. To me, they're missing that one guy to cover some ground. They were skating on thin ice that whole series. Lucky there was an off day on Thursday, to be honest with you. Gabe was down, and I'm like, hey, how are you going to, if Matt's going to pitch the 7th, how are you going to cover the 8th? I had nothing against Cooper Criswell, but they had Criswell out there. And it's like, man, you're kind of missing that dude. That, to me, is a bit of a concern, even with the rotation doing good things. Missing that one guy. And then Andres Munoz, I feel like he turned the corner, man. And, again, it's just that one split second, feeling good about that slider. I can get on top of it. He's going to be fine. He went through a stint there where he just was second-guessing everything. He's going to be fine. I still feel like the Mariners are missing that one piece. Now, real quick on this, just to wrap that up. When you go into a trade deadline situation, they've done this before. They've got an extra bullpen piece. It's really competitive now to get that bullpen arm. Like, just the way the game's changed. It's really tough to get that high-end bullpen arm, but there is a lot of options out there. I think if it's a situation, if they can get another bullpen arm like earlier than the trade deadline, they could probably cash in on someone a little bit more high leverage instead of waiting for all the competition.
Ryan, sticking with the pitching, tonight's starter George Kirby, off to his best start, I think, of his career. Sub-3 ERA, leading the team in innings, had that complete game against the Rangers. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but then went into the 8th inning. His next start against the Astros, had another good start against the Rangers last week. What are you seeing from him that is making him go deeper and deeper into these starts and has gotten him off to a really good start this year?
Yeah, to sum it up quickly, because I know I like to drag out some of these answers. Ground ball rates through the roof. One of the highest ground ball rates, like 60%. I want to say it's over 60%. Strikeout rates lower. Big reason why is because guys have been way more aggressive. You look at the swing percentage, first pitch, second pitch against him, it's through the roof. Guys have been way more aggressive against him. And also, too, the strikeout rate's lower because the changeup later in counts is getting more ground balls, the four-seam circle change, than the split, which he's kind of thrown away for now. And so he's getting a lot of weak contact. You talked about getting deeper into games, which is great. I still feel like the strikeout rates will go up with him. But I spoke to him for my show, actually. We walked through some bats. I'm doing a new thing on my show, a little plug for the show, but we walked through some of these at-bats. And it was awesome to sit there and talk to him. He's coming up on this week's episode, but he's on a mission this year. And I say that because, every year he should be motivated or whatever. But we walked it through, right, the last couple of years. Comes up to the big leagues. He has this thing about him where he hates walking people. He's kind of young. I'm not saying he's immature, but he's like first year in the big leagues. He makes an all-star team out the gates. So all of a sudden he's riding higher. Then all of a sudden he doesn't make an all-star team. Logan Gilbert makes an all-star team. He doesn't because he wants to be the dude, right? He's so uber competitive. Then he has the shoulder issue, comes back from that, and he was a little shaky coming out the gates. So this year, he's healthy, and he's kind of found this new change-up weapon, which can get weaker contact. I just think he's on a mission to be that guy, like, I want to throw 200 innings because I've got a full 6 months. I want to lead the league in this. He just, to me, and by the way, not to mention Brian Wu shined last year as well. So he's looking at his buddies going, hold on, this is my trajectory. So I think just the way he was talking, it wasn't saying that he was anything. I could just tell the way, and I even brought it up to him. I said, like the last couple of years, this, that, and the other. I think he's just on a mission this year. Now he's looked amazing so far. That ground ball, that weak contact on the ground is such a bonus to get deeper into games, man. I think he's looked really good.
Mariners broadcaster Ryan Rowland-Smith, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, guys.
Ta. I wonder what he'll do when I tell him that. I'll send you guys. I'm going to send you and Ryan a video. What if he just looks at me and doesn't do anything? He just now has started. When I say
likely thing for dogs to do.
Just now, he started responding to his name. His name's Lukey. Before I was like, uh-oh.
Do you remember what his name was?
Lukey. His name was Lukey.
He's always been that.
Jillaby Lukey. That's his racing name. He's a professional athlete, so it's just
retired professional.
It's fitting that we're spending a lot of today talking about young professional athletes, getting drafted because as the mother of a professional athlete, former professional athlete, like it's just it's like my world. So I totally get it. Anyways, let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory.
Going inside
the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
The judgment.
Most of my time spent in this room is just me rolling my eyes. I'm going to have optical problems later in life because of this job and your hosting.
To which host? Because you oversee, I shouldn't say oversee, you unfortunately.
No, it's a Big Brother situation.
Yeah, it is, kind
of. Me, Bump, and I'll throw in Ann Curtis, and then Lefko, Wyman, and Bob. Which individual makes you roll your eyes the most?
Oh, we know who it is. It's Lefko.
I was going to say, it's one of the two in the control room
by
with you.
A country mile.
Who's second place?
Do you want the kind answer or the true answer, Stacey?
There's no way I'm second place. There's
Actually,
no
chocolate
way.
donuts are gross. They're the worst.
I didn't say they're gross. I didn't say they're the worst. I said chocolate donuts. I said, fun fact. Chocolate donuts actually are like not even the best flavor. It might be the worst flavor of donuts, all of which are great. The best flavor of donuts, it's always like maple, glazed. It started from Matt and I saying that Bear Claws are incredibly underrated.
You're on an island.
First down. Did you just look?
First down.
Did you just office style look at the camera?
I did.
That was your gym moment.
We're breaking the fourth wall here.
Please.
First down, what was the biggest surprise of night one?
Okay, I'm going to be very boring and say that the answer is, I think objectively, Ty Simpson to the Rams. I think Ty Simpson to the Rams at 13 was the biggest surprise. But I'm going to try to get outside of that to talk about some moments where I was surprised or things I was surprised by. I wasn't shocked by Carnell Tate going at number 4 to the Titans, especially with Jeremiah Love going at 3 to Arizona. Jeremiah had been heavily mocked to Tennessee. With him off the board, it's like, okay, do they get the second best defensive player or arguably the best? A lot of people love Arvell Reese. Or do they go offense? And who do they go to if that? I think Jordan Tyson would have been too high, even though he's a phenomenal player. So it wasn't stunning. I think it was just a few picks earlier than people expected. Kind of like when Devin Witherspoon was taken at 5 overall by Seattle, and most people thought he might go a few picks later. I think it was just very clear that we're going offense no matter what. We got to get some weapons around Cam Ward. So if it's not going to be Jeremiah Love, we're not going to just go defense because Solid's here and whatever. We're going to get the best offensive player. And they felt like it was Tate. But that was the first kind of little baby surprise. The first oh, I don't know how many mocks got this one. And then after that, both you and I mentioned this. We were both really surprised by Caleb Downs slipping all the way. He ended up via trade going to Dallas at 11. But I was surprised that he even lasted that long.
Second down. All right, Stacey, he may not have been stat padding at Notre Dame, but what is some good company Jadarian Price finds himself in?
This is one of those stats where you get a lot of qualifiers to make it work, but I like them. Here's what I mean. Adam Carter at Impact Football Data on Twitter says, only running back prospect drafted in rounds 1 or 2 since 2015, with a missed tackle rate of greater than 20%, a passer rating when targeted of over 140, and 14 or more yards per reception in their best college season. Jadarian Price, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, James Cook. Now, listen, I understand if someone's like, okay, like not bad company. I understand if someone says, okay, that's a lot of qualifiers to add to get this group. And that's one way to look at it, and I totally get it if you do. I think another way to look at it is to look at the individual qualifiers as things that he can theoretically provide. It's not just catching out of the backfield on like a sweep or something like that. It's also being able to be used as a target in your pass game. And I would love to see the Seahawks diversify their pass game and include more of their halfbacks. Mike McDonald mentioned that last night as something that he'd love to do. And he can do that, which is great. If you look at, his reliability with that, he didn't get a ton of targets in Notre Dame, but the ones he did, he was a great target. So I think it's one of those things that's like a plus and a minus. And then obviously the missed tackles is massive. One of the most common questions we got earlier this morning about the Jadarian pick is, well, what does he bring that the guys in later rounds wouldn't? I think that explosiveness and evasiveness is one of those things that you would have missed out on with a later pick.
They're down. Stacey, which team or teams had a good first round?
Listen, I have to give credit where it's due. And I know they had a lot of capital to work with, but I loved both New York teams. I loved what both New York teams did. David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech, going to the Jets, and then later the Jets getting Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon, who Bump had profiled as like, look, he's not going to fall to Seattle, but this guy's really cool. And he is. I was listening to Jordan Rodrigue, who was on an NFL Network podcast recapping the draft, and she said, for as bad as Geno was with the Raiders, the times that he looked good were when he had this like really big body target, right? And that's what Kenyon Sadiq brings you. So like maybe the Jets offense does find something there with Geno and Kenyon Sadiq. Also, he's just a great prospect. Also, love the Giants going trenches. Don't make it complicated. Arvell Reese falling to them is amazing. They said he was the best player, the number one player on their board, ahead of even Jeremiah Love, and they couldn't believe they got him at 5. Good for them. I actually believe them there. And then immediately going offensive tackle at 10. I thought that both New York teams did what they were supposed to do.
Fourth down.
Hang on. I also feel validated because the 360 chocolate donuts are absolutely the worst kind.
That's one texter.
No, I said
a listening audience that is pretty big.
Dozens. But
Yeah,
I think
there's dozens
of us. I'm just saying that I don't think it was a controversial or bad opinion to say that of all the great donuts, chocolate-covered donuts are not the best, which is surprising.
You're in the vicinity of two donut insiders, Matt Nelson and me.
Yeah, you look at the three people in this room right now, and you tell us
whose opinion on donuts are you going to take? Yeah.
Listen, don't underestimate me. You guys are underestimating me right now, okay? I am small but mighty. Also, Matt, would you rather have a maple bar or a chocolate-covered donut? Exactly. Curtis, would you rather have a maple bar or a chocolate-covered donut?
I'll pick maple bar, but it's not to say that chocolate donuts are bad.
I didn't say they're bad.
I'll eat a maple bar first, and then I'll have a chocolate bar next.
I didn't say they're bad. Would you rather have $1 million or $100,000? $1 million. That's the maple bar. I'll take $100,000. Absolutely. It'll brighten my week.
I'll take $100,000 after I take my $1 million.
Exactly.
I would like to point out my eyes are rolling right now. You're kind of proving the point here, Stace.
I'm going to skip the fourth down. I don't even care anymore. I don't care about you guys. I don't care about listeners who don't support me because they think chocolate donuts are the best. You guys are all wrong. You're objectively wrong. Would you say this of a man?
Yes. Yes, I would.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogerson for Michael Bumpus. ESPN's Brady Henderson joining us at noon from day 2 of the NFL Draft Timeline coming your way next.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Game Wasabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Do you have a car, truck, or SUV you're willing to sell? How about an RV or commercial vehicle? Wayscar Ford in Auburn will buy it from you. And when they resell your old vehicle, they'll split the profit with you, 50-50. That's right, you'll get paid twice. Mark Clymer, Wayscar Ford's GM, isn't surprised their vehicle profit-sharing program is doing so well. I mean, let's be real, it's a fantastic offer. And Mark said they've been buying a lot of cars from our listeners, which is very cool, and they're loving it. Here's why. Customers sell their vehicle for top dollar up front, get paid before they leave the dealership, and then when Wayscar Ford resells that vehicle, that same customer is getting 50% of the profit. There's not some secret catch here. A lot of people have cars right now sitting around, and they're worth a lot of money. So if you want to sell it and you don't want to do it yourself, this is a perfect opportunity to get the most money you can without going through all the hassle. It's exclusively at Wayscar Ford, celebrating 104 years in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
Hi, Chuck here at Frank Lumber the Door Store. One of our most popular services is our match-up service, where we use your old door as a template to create a new door in your existing frame. Whether you need an interior or exterior door, this is a great way to change out your doors DIY style. And as long as we have what you need in stock, we currently have available space without a long wait for our same-day match-up service. Please visit us in Shoreline, where there's plenty of good parking. Also, check us out online at franklumber.com.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot.
As spring picks up, Chef Store helps you keep pace. Stock up on the essentials from fresh meat and seasonal produce to frozen foods, syrups, sauces, and supplies. Open to the public, no membership required. Chef Store. Buying big, made easy.
If you actually are the person that will take care of them after the fact, if you actually will be there for them, if you will pick up your phone, then they come back to you.
Lee Johnson Auto Family, the LJ way.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55-plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important, trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it. Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
The chartered plane to Queen Charlotte Lodge is on the runway, and you're not going to want to miss it. This summer has limited availability for king salmon, halibut, and lingcod fishing in beautiful Haida Gwaii, British Columbia. Queen Charlotte Lodge is absolutely the place to be. A luxury resort and amazing fishing with your buddies, dad, or son. Book your stay at fishqcl.com, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience fishing first class. And remember, our dollar's worth $1.35 north of the border.
Spring is a perfect time to make improvements that protect and add value to your home. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. For decades, homeowners across the Pacific Northwest have trusted our team for roofing, siding, windows, and custom decking. This spring, save up to $3,000, or qualified homeowners can take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest up to 24 months. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule your free estimate.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from.
Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
Because I'm a former journalist, I'm responsible enough to issue a correction here. I like to recant my opinion. Chocolate donuts are not the worst kind of donut. That's correct. Powdered donuts are the worst kind of donut, most especially jelly-filled powdered donuts.
Yeah, no. Pass on both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we all settled on that. This is how families come
You get
together.
a dry mouth.
Yeah.
The powder gets on your shirt, on your pants.
I'm glad we
it's all
settled
bad.
it. First story here in the timeline, Mike Vrabel spoke for the second time this week after yesterday's bombshell photos of him and Diana Rossini were dropped in the New York Post and TMZ. I know that a lot of people are getting a lot of these press conferences and statements mixed up, so this was one done with Patriots reporters at about 4:20 Pacific.
It was
just
right
ahead of
before
the draft.
first
It was
round.
just ahead of the first round. So this is the newest, and it's from yesterday afternoon.
Well, that's a private and personal matter. I don't think that those comments. I think that was always an attempt to protect your family, and I would never be dismissive. But no, I think my family and this football team are the most important thing, and that's what I plan to do. And I'm excited about the challenge. With both of those things.
That was a reporter asking Vrabel why, when the photos first came out, he said it was laughable. And the comment was phrased like, hey, what went on in your mind from, in the timeline of calling these laughable to right now standing in front of us?
Yeah, this is now the second apology he's issued.
Right. And there's been a lot of, never like a pure retraction and never even like a, okay, you got me. I think it's been a PR disaster class. From an organization that's probably very good with PR. Most NFL teams
They've
run
had a lot of
tight
scandals.
ships. They've had a lot of scandals.
Patriots,
But this has been, I don't know why they have mishandled this so mightily.
I wonder if the Patriots have kind of maybe in the first instance of photos releasing, I think maybe they wanted Vrabel and Rossini to kind of handle it on their own. Like, this is your guys' business. This is not my business. Like, infidelity, unfortunately, happens quite a bit in the professional sports realm, whether it be players, coaches, executives, what have you. So I imagine, this is not the first time the
we can
Patriots
brush it
have
under the
had
rug, deny.
something like this happen in their organization.
It's definitely
Stephon
not.
Diggs and Cardi B. This last season there was a lot going on there. But just knowing what we know now of the full scope of this, and we're not even at the full scope. I think we're just still partial. In what we know about how deep this affair went and how long it lasted for, to immediately come out and say it's laughable is pretty crazy in this era of anybody can be a private investigator. The internet reaches far and wide.
Yeah, I think a couple things, in my opinion, are happening here. One, I wonder if Vrabel didn't know the full scope of what was out there before he said it was laughable. So it was just a way to very quickly deny, almost like before the Patriots got their hands on how to handle it. It was just Vrabel basically being like, I don't know what these guys have, but it's not like you have photos of me out with this person. So just quickly deny because you don't really know what they have yet. I don't know. And then the second thing I think is happening is they're not coordinating with Diana, so it's looked very weird
they
and messed up.
They are not in lockstep anymore.
They're not in lockstep on this anymore. I saw this this video was going viral all over Twitter with this person who is in PR. She does like little videos about like what this is about and what this marketing approach is or whatever. And she was saying like that it feels like the effort not only was uncoordinated with Diana, but was not contained properly, and also was focused on protecting Vrabel and not necessarily protecting the organization. Because if you were protecting the organization, it would be at a sacrifice a little bit with Vrabel. Yeah. And you would have just been like, okay, just come out and say, I'm focused on being a good coach. Like, get ahead of it by making him take immediate accountability. Because then there's nothing else you can say.
Yeah.
Then any picture that comes out, if he would have come out and said, I need to be a better person, I want to be focused on accountability, and I will do that moving forward. No picture that came out would matter nearly as much.
Right.
The pictures coming out matter because they're scandalous, but they mattered because they kept denying it.
They taunted
whoever
had pictures on them
yes.
to be like, I dare you to release, basically daring people to release more photos of them. And they're like, okay, bet.
Yeah.
Here's pictures of you locking lips 6 years ago, showing how long this affair has lasted.
I guarantee you, if Vrabel would have stepped in front of it immediately and gone, you're right, I'm not proud of what I did, blah, 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 but I'm serious about this team and my family, and I'm going to work on correcting this and earning their trust back or whatever. It was cool. I wish I should have pulled it in front of me so I could mention her name. But if he would have done that and those pictures would have come out in the post, like, okay, people would have seen him and go like, well, he already apologized. He already took accountability. He already said, like, these photos mean nothing. They just prove what Vrabel already said. Then all of a sudden, Vrabel is a reliable source. He's the one saying, I did this. New photos that come out just prove that he's being honest.
Exactly.
Suddenly he looks more reliable. Like, they handled, I don't know why they did this. I'm not a PR expert.
No. But it's clear that whoever is handling this, they're not a PR expert either.
Yeah.
Because it is blown up.
Just weird.
It has gone beyond, I think, what any of us thought it was going to be. Like, when the initial photos hit, I thought, okay, maybe that's all we're going to see of this, and we're just kind of left to speculate how close these two are.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you get that defiant statement from Rossini when she announced her resignation from The Athletic, being like, I've done nothing wrong. You guys are the ones that have ran with this.
You ran with this story.
And then it was kind of like, okay.
Well, and then Diana.
If that's what you're willing to risk your career on, and then lo and behold, I mean,
Diana Rossini since deleted her account, or rather either deleted it or went private. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, I mean, gosh, people were finding tweets of hers from years ago where she was speaking. I don't know if she was necessarily speaking in kind of like, undertones in what she was typing out, but like people were like, this is a really weird thing to say considering the timing of these photos that was taken and like where you were.
And she was talking about mics who were great players and coaches. And it's like, that's not a long list.
Yeah. Well, because that's another aspect of this story that was found out yesterday is that her firstborn son is named Michael. Mike Vrabel, also Michael. And the affair that these two have had falls within the window of that kid's birth. Now, I'm not going to speculate as to what that could possibly mean.
Well,
I'm just saying it's really weird to name your kid after the guy you're having an affair with.
And I think being a kid, like, I'm mostly hands off with, like, that's what people are talking about. Not that we're going to, like, sit here and speculate about it. But it's just, the whole thing is messy. It's been mishandled. And I'm also just going to say, like, I believe that Vrabel loves his family. I don't think he's lying about that. But I don't buy that saying this is laughable was a way to protect your family.
No.
I think if you cared about respecting and protecting your family, you wouldn't have put yourself in these situations. And that doesn't mean that you can't change as a person and atone for things. Or people make mistakes morally, ethically, big and small all the time. But I do not think just saying that's laughable is protecting your family. It's protecting yourself.
Yeah. And it's clear that this whole thing was done with selfish intentions for since the very start of it. I mean, no one has an affair this long that is trying to look out for anybody but themselves and the other person.
It is crazy how much this story has dominated headlines. I know that there are some people out there that are like, I'm so sick of this story. It feels like TMZ, and I completely get that. On the other hand, sports and pop culture have so many overlapping things all the time, and this is the perfect overlap between the two. And this might be, there are a few stories that become bigger than the draft. And the New York Post had this on the cover this morning following a number of first-round picks for two New York teams in last night's
total
draft.
Between the Giants and Jets.
And it doesn't matter because this story, because of the mishandling, has completely detracted from, I think, a pretty good draft by both New York teams, actually.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a Boston team, but I'm saying like that this is over the front page of New York media.
And it's one of the most visible head coaches in the league. I would say Vrabel is probably a top 5 most popular head coach in the league. Like if this was, I don't know, who's a head coach that like whoever the Dolphins have as their head coach right now. I forget his name. It's not John Eric Sullivan, but it's the guy who looks like John Eric Sullivan.
Can you imagine being described as that person?
You're not the team's GM. You just kind of look like him. It looks like he hired a carbon copy of himself. Like if this was his story and like some not even like a well-known NFL insider, like just a blogger that covers the team, I don't think that would have a huge impact on the sports conversations we've been having over the last couple of weeks.
I might privately find this story interesting, but I know that some people are sick of hearing about it. So we'll stop talking because I know that
until the next development.
Well, no, I know that some people are like, all right, I'm done. Like I can dip my toe for a little bit and like, what's this scandal? But like, I'm kind of over it now. Totally get it. So we're going to get back to the Mariners. Quickly, time for the IRG injury report brought to you by IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. Bryce Miller, obviously rehabbing that oblique injury, will make a rehab start in Everett tonight at 7:05 p.m. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Getting back to the Mariners, what they need to do against the Cardinals on this road trip, that's coming up next.
You can stream every pitch of every inning of every game all season long. Oh, and it's completely free.
It's a tremendous catch.
Only on the Seattle Sports app. That's right. The free Seattle Sports app puts every single Mariners game right in the palm of your hand.
On a platter, come and get it.
One app, every game. Plus the latest Mariners news, insider access, video, and podcast.
Holy smokes, what a play.
Pretty awesome, right? Just like the Mariners.
Welcome to IRG Sports Injury Update. We're with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. And our guest, Dr. Jamie Antoine, orthopedic surgeon with Pro Ortho in Kirkland.
Dr. Antoine, how are you?
Doing well, Shannon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. We're going to talk about this syndesmosis high ankle sprain injury, kind of called a tightrope. Tell us about that injury.
So a high ankle sprain or a syndesmosis injury involves an injury to the ligaments above the level of the ankle joint that connect the two big bones of our leg, the tibia and the fibula together. Usually that injury is happening when the foot is getting rotated externally or away from the body relative to the leg. And in football players, this typically happens as the foot gets pinned by another player and the player goes down to the ground.
And how do you diagnose it and repair it?
So usually this is diagnosed on exam with pain above the level of the ankle joint and a lot of swelling and pain with weight bearing. So physical examination and then x-rays, including special x-rays, usually called a stress view or an MRI, can be helpful to diagnose it. If it's an unstable injury, that can require surgery to line the bones up as the bones have been disrupted or separated from one another. And so that's done surgically by lining things up under x-ray. And more recently, we'll tend to fix this with a special suture button and suture device or a tightrope type of device that can hold the bones together.
Return to play.
So return to play with the more accelerated rehab that we're able to have can now be as short as 8 to 12 weeks, whereas traditionally using screws to hold this together, this was often a 3 to 6 month recovery.
Dr. Antoine, great job. If you want more information regarding sports medicine injuries, you can contact Dr. Antoine at AntoineOrthopedics.com. That's AntoineOrthopedics.com.
With over 40 neighborhood clinics around Washington, IRG has you covered. Let IRG be your family's physical therapist. Find the location nearest you at IRGPT.com. That's IRGPT.com.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to it at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman for Bellevue Rare Coins, and I'm really excited to be working with them again as we're seeing the price of gold at all-time highs. And here's what that means for you. Items you haven't thought about in years can be worth thousands of dollars. Old jewelry, coin collections, gold watches, necklaces, and pendants. And a lot of people don't realize how valuable these items are. And right now, it's worth finding out. Find Bellevue Rare Coins in Bellevue, Linwood, Issaquah, and Tacoma, or go to BellevueRareCoins.com.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit MuckleshootCasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. Hello, my friends. It's DeGraws here, encouraging you to golf local. Our region is blessed with a ton of golf that isn't very expensive and can accommodate all types of skill levels. Check out the premier courses at Bellevue, Bill Wright, Cedar Crest, Interbay, Jackson Park, Lake Padden, Legion Memorial, Linwood, or Walter Hall. You know, wherever you are in Western Washington, you're not far from a premier course. Why not book a tee time online or play Top Tracer at the range at Interbay, Bill Wright, and Jackson Park? So what are you waiting for? Play the courses. Play Premier.
We live in one of the most beautiful places on earth, and owning your own deck is a great way to enjoy it. But finding the right decking solution can be overwhelming. That's why all 9 of our Puget Sound locations offer decking showrooms so you can get your hands and toes on the more than 60 decking options we carry. So if you have any questions about building, maintaining, or repairing your deck, contact me personally, Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
Fiber on decking is now available at Dunn Lumber, your deck headquarters.
Yay to Bruce, the streaming king.
With quantum fiber internet, he's gonna binge.
He wants more, he's got to have more.
More bedtime true crime.
More podcasts in the shower.
Quantum fiber Wi-Fi has the power. More fast internet speed.
He's got the geeks to go big, bring him the games.
Right now.
And his royal we.
More sports non-stop, his quantum fiber's on top. Yay to you.
Switch today at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service, and speed in select locations only.
Around the Diamond is sponsored by Klein Jewelers.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We're getting to the Mariners here. One little bit of news. I'm going to have it in the snapshot. I'm sure many people have seen it, but the Mariners reportedly sending Casey Legumina to the Rays. That from Ken Rosenthal. Just a little bit of news to start.
It's a kind of a quintessential Jerry Dipoto trade because I've seen that the player the Mariners are getting back is a guy that the Mariners once traded to the Rays.
Oh, that's a classic Mariners trade.
In the Randy Arozarena deal, he was the player
fun.
to be named later. A guy by the name of Ty Cummings. So, that's such a Dipoto move. Getting not only like getting a guy back that he once traded, but also it being a Tampa Bay Ray.
We're getting back to the Seahawks at noon. Brady Henderson is joining us from VMAC at 1 from 1 to 3, right?
Yes.
Double check. We're on obviously an extra hour today because it is
We're
the draft.
telling Brady it's 1 to 3.
Yeah, we tell Brady how this is done. You aren't going anywhere, Brady.
Sit back down at that desk. Put the headset back on.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get back to the latest from Jadarian Price, who was on with Brock and Salk this morning, and everything we learned about the Seahawks' first draft pick. Before we do that, though, let's stick with the Mariners series against the Cardinals here. Curtis, what should we know about this series, and what in particular are you going to be watching for?
Well, the Cardinals are a team that, as we know here in Seattle, we're not necessarily going for it this year because they offloaded Brendan Donovan to the Mariners because of, they didn't want to pay a potential free agent contract to him. They wanted to get something before his contract ran out. But I think the Cardinals have definitely outperformed expectations, and the biggest name to watch for them is a former top prospect of theirs that is starting to find his bat at the big league level, a guy by the name of Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker debuted a couple of years ago with a lot of hype and just didn't really live up to it. But this year has put together quite a month of April to start things off. So Walker in his career with a minus 0.9 WAR. In the month of April alone this year, he has 1.8 WAR. He has 8 home runs, an OPS of 964. I wonder if it's kind of like a Jared Kelenic 2023 April, where maybe he comes back down to earth after this, but certainly a bat that you've got to watch out for because 8 home runs in a month is pretty ridiculous production.
I thought it was interesting, your question to Ryan Rowland-Smith about George Kirby, who gets the start today. Again, I got 5:15 p.m. first pitch, 4 p.m. pregame show. He's had a wonderful start to this season.
Yeah.
The starters have been phenomenal. I know we've had random complaints about, I wish Logan could get more innings, and Luis Castillo struggled a bit. But overall, the starters have looked great, and Kirby absolutely one of them.
Yeah, and so last year, Kirby's biggest issue was pitching away from Seattle. He only has one start away from T-Mobile Park this year. It was that complete game loss to the Rangers, so you can't be mad at him going the entire distance in that one. But still a very small sample size to work off of to see if Kirby is, in fact, over those road woes that plagued him a year ago. Last year, away from Seattle, Kirby had a 5.16 ERA in 11 starts. His allowed a lot of runs away from home, about the same number of home runs, pitched essentially the same amount of innings away from Seattle as he did at T-Mobile Park.
Yeah, factored into a controversial ALDS decision, right, of who to start and not to start on the road. And the argument was, well, Kirby hasn't been great on the road.
Right, because you started, Kirby and Castillo, games 1 and 2 of the DS, and then you had Logan Gilbert, and I forget who was, Bryce Miller in game 4, and then game 5 you had, I think, was it Kirby who started game 5, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, so they definitely made a point to keep Kirby away from those road starts. But I think looking at this Cardinals lineup and just kind of the landmines that exist in it, outside of Walker, there is not really a consistent threat. Alec Burleson, their first baseman, maybe is that guy. He's got an 804 OPS. J.J. Weatherholt, their shortstop, is one of their top prospects, but he's off to not necessarily a slow start, but not really, stinging the ball by any stretch of the imagination. So I think if Kirby is going to have another good start in this series, I think there's a great opportunity for it coming up tonight against this Cardinals offense.
All right, so that's a focus on the pitching, a focus on what the Cardinals are bringing in terms of a challenge for Seattle, this one on the road. I'm going to be really boring and say in terms of what the Mariners need to do and what I'll be watching, building on what they did in that series finale. And by that, I mean we have spent the entirety of the first month talking about what's up with Cal, what's up with Julio, what's up with Naylor. All three with 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, get singles, end up walking it off thanks to Naylor's single. And it's not that you didn't see incremental improvements. Cal had, like you mentioned, 2 home runs in that series before that day and had one earlier that day. But these 3 are so important to what they want to do, especially Julio and Cal. And it wasn't shocking to see Cal start a bit slow, nor Julio, who had started slow, but it was concerning. And
definitely,
I think we're all wondering, okay, week 1, fine. Week 2, okay. Week 3, I'm getting uncomfortable. You hit 24, 25 games, and you start going, all right, so I don't want to hit Memorial Day with, Cal just getting into the swing of things and Julio not yet figuring it out. That was great. I want to see a little bit more of that. It doesn't mean that I need to see a home run. It doesn't mean that I need to see certain things. I want to see a few hard hit balls from each of the 3. Yeah. Ryan mentioned it, but Cal really staying on that fastball. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to see consistency there. I instead of 3 to 4 ABs that look like they're pressing and maybe not being patient, 2 where they're shrinking the strike zone and you know, 1 where they get a hit, hard hit knock, something.
Yeah, Luke Arkins did a really good job compiling the stats of Cal, Julio, and Naylor in that A's series. 40 plate appearances between the 3 of them. A combined 500 batting average, 3 home runs, all by Cal. But 6 runs scored, 7 runs driven in, 3 walks, 18 hits in those 40 plate appearances. They were on the base paths a lot, causing a lot of traffic. Now, unfortunately, they lost 2 of those 3 games, but it was not due to the performances of Cal, Julio, and Naylor.
Let's go around the diamond. The Mariners start that 3-game road series tonight against the Cardinals. Pre-game's at 4 p.m. First pitch is going to be at 5:05, on Seattle Sports. That's Around the Diamond, brought to you by Klein Jewelers Edmonds. Everything we learned about the newest Seahawk, Jadarian Price, next.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Kimosabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
What does baseball and Klein Jewelers have in common? Diamonds, of course. Hi, Andy Klein here. Sure, we love baseball, but we love diamonds even more. Why? Because our diamonds sparkle and last longer than 9 innings. Every diamond is hand-selected for maximum brilliance, quality, and value. Klein Jewelers by the Fountain in downtown Edmonds also has a big selection of engagement rings, wedding bands, diamond and gemstone fashion jewelry, and one-of-a-kind custom designs. Swing for the fences and shine with Klein.
When I'm catching up with friends or family, Sea-Star Restaurant and Raw Bar in Bellevue, it's where we go. A welcoming atmosphere, and I get to see my good friend, Chef John Howie.
Hey, thanks, Brock. At Sea-Star, we're known for fresh local seafood, unmatched hospitality, and great value. Right now, enjoy a 3-course dinner in the lounge every night, starting at just $50.
$50. You cannot beat that value these days, and it's only with Chef John Howie at SeastarRestaurant.com, SeastarRestaurant.com.
When you jump on the back of a bull and the gate swings, there's no middle ground. You either ride it out with 8 seconds of pure adrenaline or hit the dirt and run. Bull riding is not just a sport, it's a gamble of guts and glory. Nothing else compares. This is the PBR Unleash the Beast Tour. See the best bull riders in the world faced off at Cooper Tire's PBR Tacoma at Tacoma Dome this weekend. Ready to be cowboy? Get your tickets at Ticketmaster. It's bull time.
If you're building decks in Puget Sound this season, you need materials you can trust and a supplier who delivers. Par Lumber carries premium TimberTech and Trex composite decking, railing, and accessories contractors depend on across the Northwest. With reliable job site delivery, we keep your projects moving so you can keep building. Right now, get 20% off deck railing and lighting with any TimberTech or Trex deck board purchase for a limited time only at Par. Visit par.com/decking to learn more. Par, where the builders go.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
2 years ago, my office launched a major media campaign to identify key witness to our client's bicycle accident, which we later settled for $10 million. Because when we accept a case, we don't rest until we do everything possible to improve our client's chance of recovery. We're one of only a few firms in the state with an in-house investigation team building our clients' cases. So when you hire Davis Law Group, you don't just get a dedicated and award-winning legal team. You get our commitment to better service and even better results. Request a free consultation today at 206-888-8888.
Meet the company electrifying the marine industry. ARC, a fully electric boat that feels like a luxury EV. Significantly less maintenance and service, ARC boats are easy to operate and maintain. Go to arcboats.com/demo. ARC, you have to see it to believe it.
Do you need glasses or contacts and you're now at the age where you also need readers? K2 Vision RLE is the permanent solution to eliminate the need for all those. Hey, it's Doctors King and Kopstein from K2 Vision. Andy, for those nearing age 50 or so, refractive lens exchange can be a great alternative to LASIK.
That's right, Joe. K2 Vision RLE is a terrific, permanent solution for a lifetime of great vision. The older we get, we experience the dysfunction of our natural lens, which affects both distance vision and requires the use of reading glasses. Plus, after K2 Vision RLE, you will never develop a cataract.
And like LASIK, K2 Vision RLE is quick and painless. The question is, which procedure is right for you?
With the experience of over 150,000 procedures, the doctors at K2 Vision will know which procedure is best for you. Schedule your free Zoom consultation today at k2visionrle.com. K2 Vision RLE. No readers, glasses, contacts, or cataracts.
How was your break?
It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
From Ken Rosenthal, a little earlier this afternoon, the Mariners reportedly sending Casey Legumina to the Rays. The Mariners, speaking of, open a 3-game weekend series against the Cardinals tonight. Here's how you can listen to both the Mariners and our wall-to-wall draft coverage. Mariners coverage starts at 4 p.m. with a pregame show. First pitch is at 5:05 on Seattle Sports, 7:10 a.m., and the Seattle Sports app. Meanwhile, you can watch our wall-to-wall draft coverage on the alternate feed on Seattle Sports app or live on the Seattle Sports YouTube page. Find more information at seattlesports.com.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Let's talk Jadarian Price. They made a pick at 32. We started the show by talking about, we both liked the pick. We thought they answered a question at 10:45. We talked about how we thought they got a little closer to a Super Bowl, which was the goal that we talked about going into the draft. I haven't even gotten to everything Jadarian had to say. There was a conference call that he had with reporters. There's stuff said about him. Marcus Freeman, was on Good Morning Football. Mike Mayock was talking about Jadarian Price. We also had Jadarian with Brock and Salk earlier this morning. A great interview. So much to get to. So let's learn more about Jadarian Price, all of us collectively right now. We're going to start with Jadarian talking with reporters. A big thing that I think a lot of people liked about him, including Brock, who asked him about it during a separate interview, was his decision to stay at Notre Dame.
I made it. It was in my heart to stay at Notre Dame. It's a place I love, and building a relationship with those guys in the locker room, and what we had done the year before going to the national championship. That's what I wanted to do, and that's why I wanted to stay there. But also made a challenge for myself as well. Split reps with the best player in college football, and I did that, and I showed what I can do at the highest level. And it's sitting here now, and it was a great decision I could have made.
Why do you think it might matter to the Seahawks, if at all, but why do you think it might matter to the Seahawks that Jadarian, with a chance to make more elsewhere, chose to stay at his school, still behind the best player in the country, which meant you weren't going to beat him out?
Right. I think it means a lot because he's playing, I think, more for the love of the game rather than chasing the bag wherever it may end up. He's not one of those guys, 4 schools in 4 years or anything like that. And it's interesting, in this NIL era, you see more and more guys get drafted, especially in the first round, guys who have spent time at multiple schools. But nearly every draft pick that Mike Macdonald has made with the Seahawks, their first-round pick has been a guy that has not transferred. Byron Murphy spent all of his college career at Texas.
Good point.
Gray Zabel spent all of his college career at North Dakota State. And then you had Jadarian Price spent all of his college career at Notre Dame. And Price talked about it with Brock and Salk earlier this morning about how he got plenty of offers to move on. And I think he mentioned North Carolina and Texas A&M as two schools that were really recruiting him hard. And it would have made a lot of sense for him to go to Texas A&M because he's from Texas originally, and it would have been a lot closer for his family to go watch him rather than in South Bend, Indiana. But he had the knowledge to say, no, being here at Notre Dame is my best opportunity to get to the NFL. And he was right. Turned out to be a first-round pick.
I wonder if part of it, too, is you mentioned, like, just loving the game. There is, in college football, it's not that there's not a focus on a national championship, but it's a shared focus. The focus isn't just on winning a national championship with your school. The focus is also on getting your best individual career to put yourself on a platform to be drafted, and that's how you're making money. That's how you're making real money when you're a star. That's your career as a professional. And when you're in the pros, you want to get your next free agent contract or your first big contract, first extension if you're a rookie. But, I think it's a little easier to, focus on the goal is winning a Super Bowl. So maybe John and Mike appreciate that Jadarian chose, we were so close to a championship, I don't want to leave. I want to go back and win this championship. When it doesn't matter as much in college, that winning mattered deeply to this person. That winning and finishing the job mattered more than making money.
Especially with how close Notre Dame came in the 2025 college football
I could see them
playoff,
respecting that someone has an edge and a chip and a hunger and
is unsatisfied. And was more concerned with team goals rather than personal goals of trying to become a first-round pick on his own and get over 1,000 yards and whatnot.
A little bit more here. He talked about how he took advantage of every opportunity while they were splitting carries with Love.
The biggest thing was, take advantage of every single opportunity, and that's what I've been doing my whole life since I was a kid in Pee Wee. So just take advantage of all my opportunities, and that's what I did. But also just, the guy he is and reminding me that it's a game at the end of the day, just go out there and have fun, and I did that.
And these, with Brock and Salk this morning, really likes the Seahawks offense being a run-first offense.
Yeah, exactly what you said, coming to the right offense, the offense that prides himself and being balanced, running and throwing the ball, but just their emphasis on running the ball first and how important that is. And you see, Ken Walker getting the Super Bowl, MVP, and I think it's important, and I'm glad to be in the situation.
Fun fact, he was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams about a month ago and was asked about his ideal type of offense, and he said, we were a really balanced offense at Notre Dame, and I really appreciate that it was like this 50-50. He also likes being a pass catcher in that offense, and obviously out of the backfield as a runner. And then he mentioned, like an offense like you look at Seattle, they're really well balanced. They really value running the ball. Now, he had already probably had contact with Seahawks scouts.
I can't imagine he was, just pulling
It's
that
not
off
just
the top
throwing
of
a
the
name out
dome.
there. It's, Seattle at pick 32, who I've been mocked to. Their offense is great. But I also think that he's right. Like, that's factually correct, and that they are more balanced as an offense than some other groups.
Draft expert Mike Mayock, he talked about last night how perfect of a fit Price is, as well as Gray Zabel, last year's first-round pick.
Look, you can pair running backs and use them differently. This kid fits in perfectly with outside zone. Now, what did my counterpart just say about Gray Zabel running his tail off? It's because they're an outside zone team, and you've got to be able to run as well in the fourth quarter as you do in the first. What this kid is a one-cut, downhill, and his burst and acceleration is really good. I mean, that's what he does best. He sees the hole and he's gone. Now, can he make you miss in the hole? Can he do some of the other nuanced things that you'd like a running back to do? Not quite.
Right. I think and that's an opportunity for growth with Price. He's nowhere near a finished product, which I think is something that you're always looking for in a draft pick. That's why I always kind of shudder when people mock guys who are like 24, 25 years old to the Seahawks. I'm kind of like, I don't know how much more room for development there is when you're entering the league at a time when most guys are probably getting their second contract in the league. Whereas, Price is 22 years old, so there's still some room, some opportunity for growth. And
you can quite literally still grow. I'm assuming they want him to put on some weight.
Sure, because I think he's playing just above 200 pounds. And when you're a lead back, you're going to need a little bit more on the body in order to take those blows.
Go above 210 at least.
Yeah.
I think, too, I kept thinking about in all their talk about, it's wide zone fit. And Mike McDonald was asked about it and kind of danced around it with like, well, yeah, he's going to do whatever we need him to do. He'll run gap scheme. He's going to run wide zone. He's going to kind of purposely not being very specific, highlighting his versatility, blah, blah, blah. But I was thinking a lot. Reporters were right to ask about it because I was thinking a lot about John Schneider saying, we get guys with our board that fit our team.
Yeah.
It's what works for us, what we value. There are things that other teams might wish Jadarian could do that he hasn't shown. The Seahawks clearly felt that he had shown them things that were right for them and their offense. And for that matter, we had Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports on with us, and he was more in favor of getting a running back a little bit later and then getting the best edge rusher available or cornerback available, in part because he thought, God, Seattle's offense could be so user-friendly for running backs.
Yeah.
Like, your offensive line is so much better. The scheme itself is pretty friendly with just kind of like pure athleticism. It can be easy to read, easy to understand. Like, you can get just a guy, and we had kind of shifted our focus on like, will it be Mike Washington out of Arkansas late? Will it be Jonah Coleman? Obviously not what the Seahawks ended up doing, but that doesn't mean it's not great news for Jadarian.
Yeah.
You're going to a user-friendly system, and you're good at what they want you to be good at. Great. That is a huge first step.
Yeah.
Check.
You're not trying to fit, a square peg into a round hole here. And also, I think Mike McDonald has said in the past where it's kind of like we want to maximize what everybody is good at. We're not trying to take away what you're good at in order to make you better at something else that you're not so good at. Like, no, we want to emphasize the things that you do well. And I think the Seahawks are going to be a really good spot for him in order to kind of become that running back that I think eventually they want him to become, where he's, carrying the ball, 15 to 20 times a game.
Yeah. Someone said Notre Dame paid him a lot. Sure. But he would have gotten more to go somewhere else.
Right.
The entire point.
I think he was offered maybe double what it is that he made at Notre Dame.
He was absolutely going to get more to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
We had a couple questions earlier. I wanted to introduce one. Curtis, you felt that the Seahawks needed to take a running back in this draft.
Yes.
That acing the draft would, for you, in full, mean getting someone great on defense and a running back. Now, that has not been ruled out. They have 3 more picks right now. That could turn into more, too, today. But I think that a huge part of this draft was like an A grade for you because they got the player you wanted most, who was Jadarian Price.
Mm-hmm.
A common question I get is, okay, well, why Jadarian over a guy you could have gotten later? You didn't have to take Jadarian at 32. Maybe another team gets him and you take a running back later and you find a guy that you really like. What does he bring you that's different? What does he bring you that not only that you didn't have right now as a team, but that like someone like Mike Washington couldn't bring you?
I think it's the big playability that Price has. For me, that is a really special thing that he brings to the table that I don't know if you're going to get with a Jonah Coleman. I've watched a lot of Jonah Coleman, not just at Washington.
Arizona.
He was at Arizona, too, for a number of years as well. Coleman, a really good runner, especially between the tackles, but he does not have, breakaway speed. He's not going to pop off an 80-yard run, whereas Price clearly has the big playability. You just watch his game tape, and it's like, man, that guy kind of jumps out to you in just how dynamic he can be. And I think that is an important threat for your offense to have, because if you don't have that, then you're just, teams are going to pretty much have the book on you and what to expect from your offense. Like, Chris Carson was a really good running back, did not have big playability. His longest runs were during a season were routinely 25 to 30 yards.
Yeah.
He rarely, if ever, I think went beyond 50 yards for his career long run. Whereas Ken Walker, he could pop one. He could go 50, 60, 70 yards.
Thursday night against the Rams. That was part of breaking the game
Exactly.
open.
And then
quietly.
in the Super Bowl, had back-to-back runs of at least 29 yards. So I think having that as part of your run game, I think is something that the Seahawks were absolutely looking for, and I think it's going to pay off for them here with Price now as a member of the team.
I just find him to be, I know this doesn't matter as much to some people, but like an incredibly likable person that character-wise fits with what Seattle wants to do. I think he's a fun player to watch. I understand questions about, whether it's top-line speed or whether it's, although he does have a lot of explosiveness, that home run ability, which is great. You're missing that with Walker. I understand that there was concern that like he wasn't a starter.
Mm-hmm.
But we heard from people say, look, Love is the obvious guy in this draft. The other guy that's likeliest to become a starter is Price.
Yeah.
So, like, wasn't a starter at Notre Dame, and that's something to consider. That doesn't mean that he can't be great for your team. And Bump made this point in our draft broadcast last night where he was like, I think that the league has changed in what a lot of teams are doing in terms of the running back committees and, like, that committee approach that they have. And everyone still kind of looks for that back where you're like, can he give you 1,000? Can he give you 1,000? And it's like, yes, ideally you get like 2 guys that get close to that. But like you can have a really efficient, good offense without a guy necessarily surpassing that. Like the committee approach can be something that does work for Seattle and did last year.
Yeah. And I think what the Seahawks are able to do in the run game this year, the ceiling of it goes up tremendously with this pick because without it, I don't know if it is a run game that you can rely upon, especially in the early portion of the year. Now I think you at least have the threat of the run game, making defenses a little more honest in how they play against you. I would imagine I'm going to guess that the Seahawks' first opponent is going to be the Chicago Bears, a team with a pretty good defense.
Same.
And now, all of a sudden, like, that game probably would have been a much closer – I think the opening line of it would probably have been pretty close to dead even. Whereas I think, with Price in tow, I think the Seahawks have at least a pretty good shot at being favored in that game. I would be surprised if they come into that game as underdogs. I know the Bears have had a pretty good offseason, and they had a really good draft last night too. But, I think this makes defenses a lot more honest in having to defend the Seahawks.
Okay, you guys heard from Jadarian Price. We played some of that sound. What did John Schneider have to say about the pick? And what about Mike McDonald? That's coming up at 12:45. Right now, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, rewrite! Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news.
Powered by Bay Alarm Security Services.
With Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Rams stunned everyone by taking Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson at number 13 overall. What's the real headline?
From Curtis. Hope this works out better than the last time someone named Simpson called L.A. home. Now, you added with a 2-letter first name, but I thought people could. I was very surprised by this. The league was surprised by this. There's also a theory that, like, Les Snead, GM for the Rams, was way more into this than was Sean McVay. I don't know about that, though. I think Sean McVay and him have such a close relationship. And I don't think that him saying this is Matthew Stafford's team is a way to, like, publicly push back against that pick. I think it's just something that naturally is a question teams are forced to answer when they take a quarterback. So you want to show your quarterback you still have he has your support.
Yeah, I think McVay probably had to be talked into the pick.
Sure.
But ultimately was kind of like, all right, I'll go along with it. It turns out Ty Simpson and Les Snead have a big connection that dates back quite a while. Rams GM and Tennessee Martin head coach Jason Simpson is Ty's dad, and Snead helped advise the Simpson family whether or not Ty should go pro or not. And then, sure enough, I bet Les Snead was like, yeah, go pro.
He should definitely enter the draft.
Definitely go pro. And so then Snead takes him at pick number 13.
It wasn't a totally stunning pick. Some people had wondered whether, look, Matthew Stafford's 38 years old. We spent the last, certainly last offseason, wondering whether or not he would retire. The Rams have reached agreements on extensions, and that hasn't happened. But, like, this is a road we know ends in the imminent future.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he can't have a stellar year. I hope he doesn't, but it doesn't mean that he can't. It does mean that when your quarterback is 38 years old and your backup quarterback from last year, Jimmy G, is considering retirement, you have to find that answer. I just think most people expected them not to in a quarterback class that was much better next year. In a year in which they still could have been able to add, maybe it's the best wide receiver available. I can't remember if Lemon was still available. I'm blanking.
I believe he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lemon went to the Eagles.
Yes, traded up to get him. And I think that when you're a head coach, you talk about McVay probably being talked into it. Part of you is also, focused on like, okay, but what about my team right now? What about how I want to game plan and how I want to scheme things up and the weapons I might want to add? So there were some options that would have made them more competitive this year, and I get that. But I don't know that people thought that this was completely it was more of like a, what if they do? That'd be kind of crazy, right? But what if they do? And then they did.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Jeremiah Love was taken by the Cardinals at pick number 3. What's the real headline?
Let's hope he loves not having a quarterback.
Yeah, he's going to be looking around, kind of like the Will Smith picture at the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he has hands in his pockets.
I heard Greg Rosenthal say this morning he is confident that Love will end up in the Cardinals' Ring of Honor. Like, he's confident. He's so sure in this player.
Not a high bar to clear.
But,
not a high bar to clear.
But also says, I just don't know that this head coach GM combo is even going to be there over the best parts of his career.
No.
So that's kind of how he sees Love's career, where it's like, I'm so confident that this player would be a Pro Bowler. He's probably going to be the offensive rookie of the year. Like, he's going to be amazing. But I have so little confidence in the Cardinals.
So them not getting a quarterback last night will probably make them have to reach for one here at the start of round 2, because I think they have, pick 34, if I'm not mistaken.
Relatively early. I just remember where.
So now you're kind of like, well, who's the third best quarterback in this draft? Carson Beck out of Miami? Is he even better than what they've got in Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, we're going 49ers at 33, Cardinals at 34, Bills, Raiders, Giants.
So the Cardinals not getting a quarterback last night kind of has maybe forced their hand as to what they're going to do here at pick 34. But that team is going to be in for a long rebuild. I mean, they've already gone through one coach in this rebuild. They have, Austin Ford is still their GM, but I don't know how many head coaching hires they're going to allow him to make before maybe looking at a different GM. Not to say that Jeremiah Love's a bad player, but now you're going to be paying a running back a lot of money.
Well, I was just going to say they're in the toughest division in football with no answer at quarterback, which is a horrible combination.
And not really anything else to hang their hat on. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. has not lived up to the hype to start his career. It's all bad.
Headline rewrites.
Speaking of the Cardinals, the Mariners start a 3-game series against the St. Louis ones.
Arizona's all over the place.
What's the real headline?
Let's make it 2 road wins today, boys.
Double it up.
Double it up.
Get road win number 2. They can do it.
I believe they can. Are the Cardinals... What are the Cardinals this year? I haven't been paying
14 and 10.
Attention.
So they're off to
unfortunate.
They're off to a better start than I think a lot of people had anticipated. But tonight's starting pitcher, Andre Palante, not good with the control. 20 innings this year, 11 walks, only 12 strikeouts. So there's going to be opportunity for more traffic on the base paths. In fact, St. Louis' starting pitching has not been great this year.
Maybe an opportunity for a cool Mariners offense to continue to heat up after Wednesday's game?
Yeah, I think, let's see here. What's St. Louis weather? St. Louis is usually ungodly hot all year round. 70 degrees.
Love it.
Some pretty humid, it looks like, 63%. Some slight chances of rain tonight. Nothing that looks like it's going to delay anything, but yeah.
Well, maybe not flying, though.
Look, I'm sure based off of what the weather was on Wednesday when they last played here, like, you remember how ugly the weather was.
Yeah.
I'm sure this Mariners team is very excited to see 70-degree temperatures.
Now, Matt, I noticed that the 4th headline rewrite we had specifically for you has been deleted.
That was a decision of your producer, Curtis Rogers.
Oh.
Okay, well, we have 1 minute left here. I'll just...
Headline
I just want to say a great thing that Matt said, because the headline was...
The Seahawks drafted Denison, Texas native Jadarian Price, who went to the same high school as Sully Sullenberger, famously known for landing a plane on the Hudson River. What's the real headline?
One struck a bird. The other became one. This is their story.
I like the one struck a bird, the other became one. Just right by itself, which is a real thing.
Did he strike the bird or did the bird strike him?
That's a good question. Was it a coordinated attack by that bird to take down that plane?
Now, that's a great question.
Thank
and
you.
my thought on it is, he struck the bird.
Wow.
He struck that bird.
Flew the plane into the bird?
He saw his moment of glory and he took it.
Wow, and he thought, I'm so tired of these birds in the way. I'm a pilot.
And you
treat
know
me
what?
like one.
It worked. Tom Hanks played him in a movie.
It worked out for Sully. And no offense to Jadarian, if he needs to become a Hall of Famer and save like minimum 100 people to surpass Sully as the most famous person from Denison High School.
I don't think Tom Hanks will ever play Jadarian Price in a movie.
Don't
I
say
think that's
that.
the one point of
Tom Hanks
differentiation.
could play
You don't know that.
Batman, and it'd be the right
Tom
choice.
Hanks could do whatever he wants to do. Don't limit his range. Don't you dare limit his range. The Mariners head to St. Louis tonight to open a 3-game weekend series against the Cardinals. Pre-game coverage starts at 4 p.m. First pitch tonight at 5:15. Meanwhile, tune in from 4 to 9 on YouTube and the Seattle Sports app for complete coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft. Dave Wyman, Michael Bumpus, Brian Walters join Bob Stelton as the Seahawks look to build on their championship roster. They're sitting with 2 picks today. I think we're fully expecting that to become more. Taking a look around the NFL next.
You can stream every pitch of every inning of every game all season long. Oh, and it's completely free.
It's a tremendous catch.
Only on the Seattle Sports app. That's right. The free Seattle Sports app puts every single Mariners game right in the palm of your hand.
On a platter, come and get it.
One app, every game. Plus the latest Mariners news, insider access, video, and podcast.
Holy smokes, what a play.
Pretty awesome, right? Just like the Mariners.
Hello, Seattle. Bank of America, in partnership with Visa, invites you to a FIFA World Cup 26 watch party. Open an eligible Bank of America checking account in participating financial centers only for an opportunity to reserve 2 complimentary tickets while supplies last. Experience special musical guests, games, giveaways, food, and more, all at a legendary venue. Learn more at BofA.com/BofA Visa Watch Party. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 26. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of its National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through Sunday, May 3rd. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Mark your calendars. April 25th is Snohomish PUD's Energy Block Party, and you're invited. Bring the whole family for a day packed with hands-on fun. Check out the Truckstravaganza, where kids can get up close to big PUD rigs and first responder vehicles. It's free, it's fun, and it's all happening on April 25th at PUD headquarters in Everett. Visit snowpud.com/Energy Block Party.
Here's the tale of Tina, searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Hot foot it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
DQ presents the Blizzard Double Flip Deal. For a limited time, when you buy 1 Blizzard treat, you get a second for just 99 cents. That's 2 Blizzards, 2 spoons, 2 flavors, and 2 flips. So don't miss out on the Blizzard Double Flip Deal, available only for a limited time and happening now at DQ. Because the only thing better than a Blizzard treat is a second Blizzard treat for just 99 cents. It's a deal to flip for. The Blizzard Double Flip Deal. Get it in the app. Participation may vary.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. You think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
Spring is here, Seattle, and now is the smartest time to replace your roof. Trust your neighbors at 3 Tree Roofing, a local, family-owned company that knows how to roof in Washington weather year-round. Schedule your free estimate today at 3treeroofing.com to take advantage of spring pricing, shorter wait times, and get $500 off your new roof before the summer rush hits. Our experts come to you, build a clear plan, and give you an estimate that same day. No surprises and no high-pressure sales tactics. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Rick Riz here for the Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington's Improve Your Play program. Many of our local youth sports teams need help with field enhancements, training, and equipment. Local Pella owners Keith Dashafee and Luke Wilson are stepping up to donate $5,000 to 2 deserving teams. We need your help finding them. Head to seattlesports.com/play to nominate a deserving team in need. Let's help our local youth improve their play this year with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Contest and rules at seattlesports.com/play.
Jake was suffering from osteoarthritis when his doctors asked him to consider surgery.
However, there's a 9-month recovery period where essentially you're not walking and you're not putting much in the way of weight on.
That wasn't going to work for him, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I heard the ads, and that caused me to do due diligence.
And how are you doing now?
There's not really any pain now at all. I have no limitations in what I want to do.
Wow, so you're able to do anything you want to do?
I recently played golf at Cycle House down in Pebble Beach, walked 18 holes, which I hadn't been able to do for a number of years, and then went for about a 2-mile walk with my friend.
I take it you'd recommend stem cell therapy to others then?
Absolutely. Had I known then what I know now, I would have done this several years ago and saved myself a lot of pain and suffering and agony and limitation to activity.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bump Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, is there anything going on today? Roger Goodell was asked by ESPN's Mike Greenberg if the league will get involved in any of the investigation or any kind of investigation, into Mike Vrabel's conduct.
When asked about the situation with Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, he has announced that he will not be with the team on Saturday. He'll be instead with his family and plans to seek counseling. The league has suggested this is not a violation of the personal conduct policy. I want to make sure that I'm getting that exactly right. So as of this point, based upon what you know right now, this does not feel like a situation for the league to become involved.
No, this is not a personal conduct policy as we know of today. It's a personal matter, and we'll leave it at that.
Is that the kind of thing that typically you would talk with the team about? If the Patriots seem to be handling that, I think a lot of fans would wonder what, if any, role the NFL would have in some.
I think the teams handle these matters when they're personal matters, and they handle it. They have a lot more information that can benefit everyone involved.
Right call, Curtis?
Boy, it's a really delicate
it's a tough
situation.
Question. I'm just throwing your way.
I think it's the right call on the NFL's part because this is not.
I agree.
Impacting like the on-field product. I don't think this is someone's private life. Granted, it is with also a very public member of the NFL media. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is where the NFL should really kind of weigh in on.
Maybe
I think it's the right call.
I do too. I threw that one at you. It's kind of like when they ask at like Miss America contestants like really nuanced questions, and they're like, in 30 seconds, is it right for the NFL not to investigate? But I think you're right, and I think if there was something where it's like, and it's been thrown as an accusation, but if there's something where it's like, oh, is there a clear question about tampering? Is there a clear question about whatever? Like, let's say hypothetically that 2 people two separate teams or a coach in a front office or someone in the booth. I don't know. Like, I can see areas where it would veer into personal conduct or an investigation. I don't know. This is going to be a conspiracy theory. I don't think this is Roger Goodell doing Robert Kraft favors by, shushing this up. I think that, and it was also, I credit Greeny for asking. Because this isn't something, I know there are some people that are going to go, why is he even asking? This isn't a story. Well, there is a very real personal conduct policy, and there is a very real question of whether or not the league is going to be interested at all in a prominent head coach who was just in a Super Bowl, having a relationship that, hey, is there any way, Roger, that this would have put the team in jeopardy or that this is going to be something you'll care about? And then it ended. It wasn't longer than that. That was the full interview. Well, full question.
Right.
But, I agree with you. Chiefs GM Brett Veach spoke on why they surprised nearly everyone with their selection of LSU corner Mansour Delane. Delane, right?
Delane, yeah.
Delane, thank you. At number 6.
Once Tate left, just kind of solidified our decision to go up there. And if you want this guy, I've always said this, you do all this work and you put all this time into this, but you want a guy, you got to go find a way to get him. And again, when you look at the landscape, it was funny because we kind of had, when we're picking, it looks like it'll be Tyson, Delane, Downs kind of in that stack. We kept going through it, and we just relied on our data analytics and said the Saints would be likely to take the lane there just because of losing the 2 corners the last 2 years, and again, similar predicament. So just went up there and got that guy.
Did you see the conspiracy theory about this one?
No.
The theory, and I don't think it's true, I think it's a byproduct of the broadcast delay. Thank you.
Oh. All right, here we go.
The theory is that the Chiefs actually traded up thinking that they would have a chance to get Arvell Reese, who ended up falling past what he was expecting. Maybe he goes at 2. Yeah, he ended up falling at 5 to the Giants. So people thought, what if the Chiefs are trading up to take Reese at number 6, and they weren't expecting him to go off the board, and they didn't actually want to take Delane. We can turn off the music now. To which I would say, look, they just traded an elite corner. He's the best corner in the draft. This pick makes sense to me.
Yeah, it is interesting that the Chiefs chose to basically replace the hole that was created by trading Trent McDuffie to the Rams with pick number 6, when it does feel like that roster has maybe more pressing needs. I know they've been looking for a really top-flight wide receiver
for years.
For a minute,
Quite literally, years.
Since the trade of Tyreek Hill, they have not really had somebody to come in and fill that role. So when they were picking at 6, I was kind of like, well, you might want to go receiver here. Jordan Tyson was still on the board. He ended up getting picked by New Orleans at pick number 8. Mekhi Lemon, it felt like that might have been a little too early for him, but them going with a corner, kind of like, okay. And then their second pick of the first round, they went Peter Woods, defensive tackle. I think that's a good pick, especially with Chris Jones getting up there. That was a really good one. But I don't know if I would have gone corner if I'm Kansas City, especially considering how I imagine they still want to kind of go for it so long as Patrick Mahomes will be healthy this year. I don't know if that's a pick that really ups their ceiling.
I hear you. Well, hey, speaking of the Giants taking Arvell Reese, how do we think Malik Neighbors felt about it? He was a guest on Bleacher Report's draft stream. Here's how that went.
Don't get me wrong, I love the player, but just like he said, where do you play? You wanna be on the outside and rush, but we just drafted somebody last year to do that same position.
2022 with the 5th pick, Kayvon Thibodeau, and then last year with the 3rd pick, Abdul Carter. So it's 3 times in the top 5 in the last 3-4 years they've gone edge.
The reason why I said Caleb Downs, and I know it's going to be...
There's still a chance they can get him at 10.
And it's still, but I'm saying, though, you have to get them when they're available. It's not saying that he's going to be there at 10. And because we just traded Dex,
right?
You need interior D-line. I understand getting outside backer, he wants to rush, okay, cool. But I'm saying, though, when you eliminate something from there, you have to put something in the back end.
Can I say something that has nothing to do with his actual opinion?
Yes.
And whether or not I agree with it and what I think is going to happen with Thibodeau? I'm shocked that a current player on that roster is speaking with that kind of candor about the decision.
With a brand new head coach, a head coach of John Harbaugh's caliber,
Dang,
too.
Malik.
Did you not just see Dexter Lawrence?
I appreciate it as a consumer.
Right.
It's cool insight.
But Dexter Lawrence spoke up about wanting a new contract, and John Harbaugh was like, oh, really? Yeah. You want a new contract? How about you enjoy what Cincinnati, Ohio has to offer?
Well, think about the dynamics of that. Like, I'm sure he's going to be a great teammate once he's there, but he's saying, like, I don't know if we needed this guy, one of the best players in the class. I don't know if we needed this guy. We've got 2 other guys that do that job that were first-round picks, and we really need interior depth. Like, it's just to even be critical in any way, I think it's very rare. But what'd you make of the pick itself? Do you agree with him, Malik?
You can't have enough pass rush, and Arvell Reese was, if he wasn't the best, he was the second best. David Bailey going number 2 overall to the Jets. It felt like Bailey and Reese were kind of interchangeable, so whoever the Jets weren't going to take, that's probably who the Giants were going to take. Yeah, I mean, 3rd straight draft where they take a guy like that with Thibodeau and then Abdul Carter and Reese. But, like, Abdul Carter did not play all that well last year. I think he got benched a couple of times for, like, conduct. Showing up late to meetings and whatnot. Yeah, Carter had 4 sacks in 17 games. Only started 6 games last year. So you kind of wonder if, like, the Giants are like, well, I don't know if we saw enough out of him to justify letting that pick go. So I thought it was a smart decision by the Giants to address the trenches. Honestly, I think the Giants, even if Malik Neighbors was not satisfied with the pick, I think the Giants are still an up-and-coming team in the NFC East.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. ESPN's Brady Henderson joining us at 1 from Virginia Mason Athletic Center, where the Seahawks are set to kick off day 2 of the NFL Draft. Coming up next, everything John Schneider said about his decision to take Jadarian Price.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon, with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Game Wasabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. And if you're looking for a spot to catch all the spring baseball and sports, I got a place for you. Hawks Peak Sports Bar and Grill. It's your home for game days with more than 60 TVs, so you won't miss a play. They got great food and drinks, and nothing beats the views. So get in on all the action at Hawks Peak. Head to snocasino.com for all the details. That's snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Please game responsibly.
The chartered plane to Queen Charlotte Lodge is on the runway, and you're not going to want to miss it. This summer is limited availability for king salmon, halibut, and lingcod fishing in beautiful Haida Gwaii, British Columbia. Queen Charlotte Lodge is absolutely the place to be. A luxury resort and amazing fishing with your buddies, dad, or son. Book your stay at fishqcl.com, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience fishing first class. And remember, our dollar's worth $1.35 north of the border.
Trust is everything. Earning it takes years. Losing it takes 5 seconds.
Lee Johnson Auto Family.
How does your roof look after this winter? Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Spring into action today. Save $3,000 on a new roof, siding, deck, or windows. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Have a troublesome tree in need of removal? P&D Tree Service is up to the task. Local experts in tree removal for residential and commercial. If it's 1 tree or 15 trees, close quarters or land clearing, call P&D Tree. They'll get the job done safely and quickly, turning multi-day jobs into a few hours, saving you time and money. They'll clear trees away from homes to help you save on home insurance. They specialize in large tree removal. Ever see a tree removed by crane? PNDTreeservice.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
This is the story of the one.
As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello, my friends. It's DeGraws here, encouraging you to golf local. Our region is blessed with a ton of golf that isn't very expensive and can accommodate all types of skill levels. Check out the premier courses at Bellevue, Bill Wright, Cedar Crest, Inter Bay, Jackson Park, Lake Padden, Legion Memorial, Linwood, or Walter Hall. You know, wherever you are in Western Washington, you're not far from a premier course. Why not book a tee time online or play Top Tracer at the range at Inter Bay, Bill Wright, and Jackson Park? So what are you waiting for? Play the courses. Play Premier.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Drew Brees here. Whether you're on the field or on the road, having the right team on your side makes all the difference. I learned that the hard way. On the field, you don't go anywhere without a solid O-line. And when your car breaks down, you want that same kind of protection. That's why I trust CarShield. Their protection plans help you tackle expensive repairs so that you're not blindsided.
Visit carshield.com now and join the team that's helped millions of drivers save. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick, because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bump Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Brady Henderson joins us in 15 minutes from Seahawks headquarters, Virginia Mason Athletics Center, to tell us about his first round takeaways, everything he's learning about Jadarian Price, what those press conferences were like, everything you learned from John. Before we get to that, we have some sound from John Schneider from last night's press conference. First, what he had to say about Price's speed.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, one of his super talents is basically just his ability to cut back and then kind of like crease it. And he's just got that, like, I mean, he has home run speed. He has a lot of explosive runs. And anyways, excuse me, he's returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns in his career, 2 this year. You know, that's such a unique feel. The USC game was ridiculous. Just like that that's like the instant acceleration.
I had someone text in critiquing his 4.4940 time when we were talking about his speed, and I will say, while I am not a scout, this is not my lane, I do know that just saying a 40 time is probably not the best way to gauge strictly a running back's ability to read a block, get to the second level, break out. His explosive play rate, missed tackle percentage, were great. We had Pete Sampson of The Athletic joining us saying he doesn't look 4.49 when you're out there. Like he was like, I kept watching him. I'm paraphrasing. I kept watching him thinking he'd get brought down, and then he wouldn't. Like, he looks like a guy that's about to get brought down, and then he always just gets away.
Right. And I've always been in the camp of, like, show me the game tape. Like, the measurables are what they are. Like, I think it's a decent reference point in order to judge a player's true talent. But ultimately, what do they look like on the field? And Price, to me, looks like a guy with enough talent to be a lead back one day in the NFL, and somebody that is one of the best running backs in the country, even if it was in limited duty. But as has been pointed out multiple times on the text line and just throughout the conversations with Price, or about Price, I should say, is this guy would have been a starting running back at all 130 some odd colleges in the NCAA. The problem is he was at the one with the one running back who was viewed as a generational prospect in this draft, in Jeremiah Love, who was a Heisman Trophy finalist last year. And so because of that, Price didn't get that opportunity to fully shine and fully show his entire skill set. So that can't – I don't think you can fault him for that and be like, well, if he was truly a great
he would have
running
beat Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. It's like not many guys are going to be better than Jeremiah Love. So to me, I think the game film shows what Price can be better than any 40 time can. And look, I mean, 40 times they're, done without pads on. They're done in a very controlled environment. Whereas, what does the game tape show you? And if it shows you somebody that looks really, really good, I'm going to put more into that than any workout can.
He talked about running back, yes, very clearly being a need.
Yeah, I mean, it was important. It wasn't. We weren't going to completely force it, but it was important. There's still some darn good running backs left, but it was definitely, if you said, hey, your needs, it was definitely one of our. And we just lost a really good runner in Ken Walker.
This gets up to that interesting intersection between best available versus need. I think that last night, Curtis, unsurprisingly, there were some people who were thinking oh, God, I really hope John didn't reach. Mm-hmm. Jadarian Price had been mocked. I saw as low as 59 to the Texans from The Athletic's Dane Brugler, as high as, obviously, 32 to Seattle. I didn't see many mocks that had him earlier. I don't think everyone had even a mid-first-round grade on him. Jadarian, in his own conference call with reporters and in his conversation with Brock and Salk this morning, said, I honestly didn't know if I'd be a first-rounder. I wasn't totally caught off guard, but I was fully prepared to sit through some of the second round. I knew I'd be drafted, but I was prepared to wait. So even he and his agent know that that's a possibility. So I can see some people saying it's a reach and some of the critiques, but you felt as though the meeting of those two things, the need for someone versus that someone being a great prospect, was also perfect for Seattle, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think you had your biggest need last night was running, or was the running back position. And Price was the best available running back in that spot, which you could then, maybe kind of twist and say he was the best available player at that point, at least best available for what your needs were. And we've seen them go that route the last couple of years in the draft. It wasn't, last year your biggest need was offensive line help. Who'd they take at pick 18? They took Gray Zabel. The year prior to that, they needed help on the defensive line. And they had nearly their entire pick of the litter on the defensive side of the ball because there was a huge run on offensive players to start the draft. The Colts took Latu out of UCLA, so then that left you with the rest of all defensive players to pick from. You pick Byron Murphy. That was a pretty easy pick for you to make. It is interesting because the last 3 years they've now taken a guy who we've all kind of thought
expected,
where it's I think it's going to be Murphy here. I think it's going to be Zabel here. I think it's going to be Jadarian Price, which is a far cry from what it was during Pete Carroll's tenure. Pete Carroll's tenure, you had no idea what they were going to do ever. And it definitely made for some pretty interesting draft viewing experiences, but I kind of wonder if that maybe is a little bit, of Mike McDonald's influence in that draft room, of him being, I think, a little less chaotic than Pete Carroll was.
It could also be a John Schneider in full control. Maybe it's, picks are clearly John has full veto power over everything. So I've kind of attributed it to that too, maybe. And having better draft capital. Maybe if the last 6 rounds they'd been sitting at 32, we'd have some names that would surprise us. But look, when they're picking at 5, there's a lot of guys it could be, but you're going, okay, Jalen Carter feels like a likely possibility.
Right.
Do they go quarterback and get Richardson? I know Pete was still here, but
right. Well, and Witherspoon turned out to be the right pick at that time, and has continued to show why they took him there. And I think one common thing that we talked about earlier was just kind of like the love of the game that a lot of these first-round picks the Seahawks have had in recent years have all kind of shared that. Whereas, like, Witherspoon always has, he's always chirping. He's always got the biggest smile on his face when he's playing. JSN is, such a unicorn in the NFL, Offensive Player of the Year. Murphy is, just a mauler on the defensive line. And then Gray Zabel, again, you heard it in the Super Bowl mic'd up where he's telling Patriots players, like, I'm ready to die today. Like, and just and what was it?
Imagine saying that as a punter.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Michael Dixon saying it. I'm ready to die today.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Well, and also Zabel in the Super Bowl kept asking Jalen Sundell to pop his thumb back in that he dislocated because he was like, I'm not coming out of this game. Keep popping it in. And just psycho behavior from your offensive line. But no, I love it. And I think Price just kind of fits that bill of what we've seen recently out of Seahawks first-round picks.
We have to talk about the Seahawks actually making a first-round pick, some other things that stood out to Brady Henderson from night one of the NFL draft, and what's left still to do for the Seattle Seahawks. Brady Henderson joins us next.
You can stream every pitch of every inning of every game all season long. Oh, and it's completely free.
It's a tremendous catch.
Only on the Seattle Sports app. That's right. The free Seattle Sports app puts every single Mariners game right in the palm of your hand.
On a platter, come and get it.
One app, every game. Plus the latest Mariners news, insider access, video, and podcast.
Holy smokes, what a play.
Pretty awesome, right? Just like the Mariners.
It's WFC 190 World Fighting Championship at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center. Saturday night, April 25th. Experience the thrill and excitement of high-energy professional mixed martial arts. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss this amazing mixed martial arts event. WFC 190 World Fighting Championship, April 25th. At Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Upgrade your comfort and cut utility costs with Lake Washington Windows. Get 20% off energy-efficient windows and doors plus $1,000 off whole projects while taking 12 months to pay with no interest. Schedule your estimate by April 30th at lakewashingtonwindows.com.
D.R. Horton's National Red Tag Sales Event is going on right now through May 3rd. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Everyone's been told the same story about real estate investing. Buy property, deal with tenants, manage construction headaches, and yet Legacy Group Capital, they ignore all of that. Jason Rantz here. Here's what Legacy Group Capital actually does. They lend on real estate. They acquire it, they build it, they develop it, and then they share the profits with investors. It's not complicated. There's no gimmicks. The track record, double-digit returns with zero investor losses. You get the upside of real estate without owning a single piece of it. And right now, Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund, it's offering a fixed 9% rate of return. And yeah, IRAs are accepted. While everyone else is chasing overheated trends, you're locking in a fixed return backed by real assets, managed by real experts. More than 1,300 investors have already put over $350 million to work with Legacy Group Capital. These aren't people who got lucky. They got smart. You can get smart. Call 425-635-4700 or go to legacyg.com. Don't overcomplicate things. Legacy Group Capital.
Hey, it's Bob Stelton here, and I can see clearly now. It's amazing. Let me tell you about one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. That's when I went to K2 Vision for Refractive Lens Exchange, or RLE. Dr. Kopstein started K2 Vision with Dr. King from King LASIK, the most experienced LASIK surgeon in the Northwest. King LASIK plus K2 Vision equals freedom vision for every stage of life. No glasses, contacts, readers, or cataracts. So if you're somebody that struggles with distance vision and now you always need a pair of reading glasses, K2 Vision RLE could be your perfect permanent solution to spending your good active years not needing reading glasses. And here's the capper. You're never going to develop a cataract. I'm somebody that needed readers in every room of the house. I needed to see the scoreboard out at ball games. I just couldn't see clearly. That has all changed thanks to RLE. Whether it's LASIK, EVO ICL, or RLE, trust the most experienced team of doctors to point you in the right direction. Schedule your free Zoom consultation today at K2VisionRLE.com. That's K2VisionRLE.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
DQ presents the Blizzard Double Flip Deal. For a limited time, when you buy one Blizzard treat, you get a second for just 99 cents. That's 2 Blizzards, 2 spoons, 2 flavors, and 2 flips. So don't miss out on the Blizzard Double Flip Deal, available only for a limited time and happening now at DQ. Because the only thing better than a Blizzard treat is a second Blizzard treat for just 99 cents. It's a deal to flip for. The Blizzard Double Flip Deal. Get it in the app. Participation may vary.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners open up the 3-game weekend series against the Cardinals tonight. Here's how you can listen to both the Mariners and our wall-to-wall NFL draft coverage. Mariners coverage starts at 4 p.m. First pitch is at 5:15 on Seattle Sports, 7:10 a.m. and the Seattle Sports app. Meanwhile, you can watch our coverage of the NFL draft on the alternate feed on the Seattle Sports app or live on the Seattle Sports YouTube page. Find more information at seattlesports.com.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Brady Henderson joining us from Seahawks headquarters, Virginia Mason Athletic Center, where Seattle has a new Seahawks player. Brady, how's it going?
It's going well, Stacey. This just kind of reminds me of showing up to the golf course right before the tee time, and walking up to the first tee right at the exact tee time.
That's
so
you've never missed Brady.
Settled in here.
You never missed one. Still never missed one.
That's right. I'm right on time as always.
This is peak Brady. I wanted to ask whether you were surprised they made a pick. Most of us were expecting they traded back.
No, I was not. I mean, it was very clear that they wanted to trade back. But, as we talked about yesterday, the point I made yesterday is, they've also wanted to trade back pretty much every year for the last, 16 years and for the last 5 drafts in which they've had a first-round pick. And you could also include 2021 in there. Their first pick was in the second round that year. Wanting to trade back is one thing. Being able to do it, being able to find a trade partner that's willing to move up, willing to give you proper value, that's another thing. And, I said, for as much as they want to trade back, there's a very real possibility that the right opportunity just isn't there. And that's what happened. And it's, hard to not connect the dots to all the other trades that went down right in front of them. And maybe, they had some opportunities to potentially trade down. And I think what may have happened is maybe some other teams that wanted to move up just found better deals with other teams ahead of them.
What did you make of, or was there maybe, you mentioned some of the trades that went on around them. Was there a trade or maybe a draft pick that was taken ahead of pick 32 that kind of cemented the Seahawks in their decision to stick at pick 32?
Yeah, I think it was Chris Johnson going 27 overall to Miami after they moved up. I think they were 30 and then moved up to 27 with the 49ers, I believe is what it was. So Chris Johnson was the guy that I gave them in our mock draft. And I get the feeling that it came down to Johnson or Jadarian Price. And Jadarian Price, as I mentioned in the video I did, for me, that's what it came down to. And I think for them, I get the sense that those were their top two guys. And who knows what would have happened if Chris Johnson were still on the board and had he not gone to 27 to Miami, or maybe another team in between then takes him. But yeah, I'd be very curious to know what would have happened if both of those guys were available to the Seahawks at 32, because I do get the feeling that it was between those two guys.
I'm glad you mentioned it getting the feeling it was between those two guys. I had a cut that I played earlier of John Schneider saying, you look around, Jadarian's kind of there alone, and you're wondering how far he's going to slip. Because I think, Brady, that when this pick was made, there were probably a few fans going, was this based on need? Were there defensive players that John really, really liked, and did they reach? And I didn't get that impression from their press conference. What about you?
Well, I did not get that impression. I think I would again be very curious to know where exactly they had Jadarian Price on their board, and I think it is fair to wonder if maybe they pushed him up a little bit because of how big of a need it was for them, and because of just what we know about this draft. And it's not a good draft for running backs, and I think as everybody and their mother has been saying, and I doubt that they would see it any differently, there's a big drop-off from Price to the next best running back, whoever that is. And so, and also as you and I talked about yesterday, and Curtis as well yesterday, if you look at the list of available free agent running backs, not exactly an inspiring list of players. And so I think it's fair to wonder if their hand was to some degree forced here. And maybe they had Jadarian Price rated as a late first, early second round guy. And if that's the case, then it really was not. But I do wonder if maybe they pushed him up a little bit. But like I said yesterday, when I kept saying this, the conversation just keeps going back to Jadarian Price. And if they end up taking him, I'm not going to sit here and tell you today that was a bad pick, because if it's not Price, you're a run-first team that you've got some nice pieces in the backfield, but you don't really have that Ken Walker replacement. So who else is it going to be? And for that reason, I think it's a totally sensible pick.
Brady, in our first hour, we had the prompt of, did the Seahawks get closer to a Super Bowl return Thursday night with the pick of Jadarian Price? When you look at all the options available to them last night, do you think the Seahawks are closer to return after what they were able to do in round one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you compare that to what their other options were. Yeah, I mean, look, it was their biggest need, and it was it's not their only need, but you could get by right now, I think, with what they've got on the edge, with what they've got at cornerback. The running back, to me at least, I think was in a different class of need, even though I believe them when they say that they're high on what they've got or what they had there before Price and Helani, and I think they really feel like he can be a number two. They're obviously excited about Emmanuel Wilson, a guy they signed in free agency, but they also signed him to a very inexpensive 1-year contract. And even if you feel good about both of those guys as kind of the number two, well, you still need a number one, you need somebody to fill kind of that co-number one role, I think is maybe the best way of putting it, that role that Walker filled last season. So, this will be something of a jump for Price, but it's not like he's going from a backup to a bell cow. They're not going to ask him to carry the ball 25 plus times a game. But I think they're going to ask him to kind of slide into that Ken Walker the third role and be that co-number one guy. And, even with the questions about whether or not they may have, whether their hand may have been forced, there is plenty to like about this guy. And again, it was their top need, and I just don't know if they had very many, if any, viable alternatives to him to fill that void. Speaking of what he brings, what were some of the traits that John or Mike kept mentioning? Yeah, the explosiveness, and that was one thing that I was most curious about with him, just because, and look, there's danger in reading and putting all of your stock into a 40 time. I would say the 40 time was like good but not great. 4.49, and there's all sorts of arguments about how much of a 40 time, how much the 40 time really matters for running backs, considering that there's only so many times where you're actually running in a straight line, trying to run away from guys
without
I think
pads
if you're,
on.
Yeah. I think if you're trying to gauge his explosiveness, there's plenty of metrics that say he's pretty explosive. There's also your eyes that when you watch him, you see plenty of explosiveness. He averaged just under 6 yards a carry last season at Notre Dame. He also returned 3 career kickoffs for touchdowns. He had, I think he led FBS in kickoff return average last season at 37.5 yards, something like that. So, he may not win a foot race between him and Ken Walker if you line both of those guys up and had them race. But I think there's plenty of speed there and enough to recoup what I think was really what that backfield needed. You didn't just need any runner. I think you needed a guy who could recoup some of that explosiveness that you lost with Walker going to Kansas City, and I think this pick does that.
I like that you bring up his return abilities, Brady, because that's something that it seems like they've already got that in Rashid Shaheed. Like, I mean, especially considering how many kicks Shaheed took back in the season's second half. They also have, when Torrey Horton's healthy, he took a punt back for a touchdown last year as well. How many opportunities do you think Price is going to get in the return game?
I think, and I don't think that's really why they drafted him. I think it's probably a nice bonus. That's maybe the best way I would put it, that he could potentially do that. I mean, there's a lot of times where you got 2 guys back there, and maybe I think it's always good to have, especially for a team that really values special teams the way that this organization does. It's nice to have another option there if, say, Shaheed is unavailable for a game, or if you feel like you want him to focus on offense. I think when you have a Pro Bowl player back there, you're probably going to keep him back there. But you need more than one guy, especially with the new kickoff rules.
Wanted to take a look and just get some first impressions elsewhere on night 1 of the draft. Curtis was most shocked by Ty Simpson going to the Rams. Brady, the NFC West, kind of a weird night. Jeremiah Love going number 3 overall to the Cardinals, which wasn't weird, but they did not end up trading back in to get Ty Simpson because he went at 13. 49ers trade out entirely. What'd you make of what the rest of the NFC West did last night?
I didn't love the Jeremiah Love pick for Arizona, and I say that recognizing that he might be the best, player in this draft, which is kind of weird to say. I just fundamentally don't really like the idea of a team whose roster needs that much work, drafting a running back. And, Dan Graziano did, I think, a great job of laying out just the financial implications of that, where when you draft a running back that high, you're not getting any sort of the financial value that you would get if you drafted basically any other player at that position. And we all know the shelf life questions for running backs. So I have no problem with a run-first team, spending a late first-round pick on a running back, but there's a big difference between 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and the number 3 overall pick for a roster that's got plenty of work to do to catch up to the Seahawks, the Rams, even the 49ers in their own division. So I get it, and this is nothing against Love as a player. I just don't like the idea of a team that needs that much work spending that high of a pick on that position.
I mean, that pick was definitely a head scratcher. The Simpson one too. Brady, when you look at the Rams and just how close they are to the Seahawks, how surprised were you that they didn't take a player that is going to have an impact on their season here in 2026?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they did sort of their roster immediate upgrades in free agency, right? With the trade for Trent McDuffie. They also signed the other Chiefs cornerback, Jalen Watson, in free agency. So if you looked at these two teams as being neck and neck personnel-wise, and I would say that the on-field results, especially in those first 2 games, wouldn't dissuade you from believing that. The team, it was a razor-thin margin, I think, between these 2 teams, at least, for during the regular season. And the Seahawks, maybe pulled away a little bit in the playoffs. But so if you felt like these teams were neck and neck, you could make an argument that, well, with what happened between both of these teams in free agency, that maybe the Rams kind of pulled ahead a little bit, adding 2 or at least 1 premier cornerback and 1 very good cornerback. And so that I say all that to say, I don't think the Seahawks minded seeing them pick a player who, maybe that makes sense for the long term. And we can have this debate about whether or not Ty Simpson is a franchise quarterback with just the limited amount of playing time in college. And I don't know if he's like the most traitsy quarterback there is. But let's just say he is a long-term option. Like, he's not a guy who's going to help them out all that much, if at all, this year. And so I don't think the Seahawks, just considering how close those two teams are talent-wise, I don't think they minded seeing the Rams spend the 13th pick, not like a late first-round pick, but the 13th pick on a guy who is more of a long-term play than an immediate one.
My next question, another kind of broad look at the draft. For listeners, all the reporters, I'm assuming it's still like this, Brady. It was when I was reporting. But all the reporters, any media kind of watch in a giant, what is it, the defensive meeting room? Or, yeah, it's a big meeting room upstairs in Seahawks headquarters, not far from the war room. TVs are on, you watch the draft, and it's all the media there together. And the thing that I kind of miss about that experience when I was a reporter is like this group reaction of when surprising things happen, and you kind of get a gauge for everyone collectively going, "Oh, I can guess Ty Simpson was this." But what were the media moments? What were the reactions in that room most about during the draft? Like, where were the kind of whoa mumblings and rumblings?
Yeah, it's really not as I don't know what the right word is. It's not because we're not all just watching the TV, so we're not all finding out at the exact same time, like from the commissioner or whoever reads the pick. Because the TV broadcast is, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the TV broadcast is usually a few picks behind, right? So you find out a lot of this stuff on Twitter before it is actually announced on TV. So, I think it's not like it's not like everybody found out all at once that Ty Simpson was going. I mean, I was seeing it. I think Jay Glazer reported it, and there's still people in the room wondering, what are the Rams going to do with this 13th overall pick? So I did catch Brock Heward's reaction. I got a kick out of that, and I understand it. Like, and he was talking about more just the player himself and not being really sold on Ty Simpson as a viable option. I also thought it was interesting. It's the reactions that we should be talking about are not the guys in the media room. It's Sean McVay. Yeah. During that post-draft press conference. I've got some thoughts on that. I'm curious what you guys thought.
What are they? Because I had read the transcript. I did not see the video. So I was going, I don't know.
Here's the audio of it. This was him asked about Ty Simpson, but he makes sure to mention and emphasizes that this is Matthew Stafford's team.
Yeah, there was a lot of players that we liked, but when you do look at it, I think the thing you liked about the body of work is, let's make one thing clear. This is Matthew's team.
Okay, I'm being educated about this over the day. Like, I've had listeners and other texters be like, no, Stacey, you need to actually watch the video. Like, he's so frustrated, Brady.
He's trying to go into complimenting Ty Simpson and then immediately makes sure that under no circumstances this, Ty Simpson's job. This is Matthew Stafford's job.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he found himself in a weird, just in an awkward spot there. And my first reaction to watching it was he did not want Ty Simpson. Now, look, I've always been under the impression that Sean McVay has like final say over personnel matters with the Rams, as Pete Carroll did with the Seahawks. And even if he didn't, I find it hard to believe that Les Snead would draft a quarterback that the head coach / offensive coordinator would not want. I think what that reaction conveyed more so was McVay feeling like he's in an awkward position of not wanting to disrespect Matthew Stafford, who was not only the quarterback who delivered them a Super Bowl, but also it sounds like those guys are really close. And so I think he was probably trying to be as careful as possible to not sound like overly enthused about this guy that eventually is going to take Matthew Stafford's job, which I sort of understand. I also ask myself, like, well, is Matthew Stafford really that sensitive? And is Matthew Stafford also that unaware of just the bigger picture? I mean, this guy is my age almost. And he's gone year to year, basically, the last several seasons. So I would think that he would understand that the organization, has to find his successor. I also get that Stafford, if he is only going to play another year or two, would want the team to be doing everything it can to help the team, to help him and the team right away. So I understand both sides of it, but I don't think it was, as much as it may have looked like it, I don't think it was the Rams drafted a guy that McVay did not want. I just can't imagine that happening given the dynamics of the power structure there.
Well, the weird thing, too, about that is the pre-existing relationship between Les Snead and Ty Simpson's dad, who's the head coach at Tennessee Martin, where Snead helped advise Ty Simpson to make a decision on whether or not to declare for the draft. That's what Albert Breer reported last night. And so it's weird that Snead had this really close relationship with the Simpson family, and then all of a sudden taking him at number 13. I don't know. From the outside looking in, Brady, it does kind of feel like Snead was maybe doing Ty Simpson a favor here.
Well, I mean, but who knows? I think another team may have come up late in the first round to take him. I mean, I don't think he's doing it just because he's buddies with the guy. I mean, I think from the Rams standpoint, you know, this is a team that was in the NFC Championship game last season. Probably, you know, they have a very good roster, and they're probably thinking of it in these terms. Like, they're not going to be picking in the first half of the first round, barring some disaster season. You know, they're not going to have that kind of, they're not going to be in that kind of position to take their long-term quarterback at any point over the next few years, or at any point while Matthew Stafford is still playing. So I'm guessing that they probably viewed this as their best shot to find Stafford's replacement, because, you know, next year probably going to be picking in the, you know, late 20s, maybe early 30s. And maybe they just felt like this was their best shot.
I yesterday asked you a lot about a few other NFC contenders. Hey, if we're going to spend the entire year talking about the Seahawks getting to a Super Bowl, well, let's talk about some teams that are very much going to be trying to stand in the way. The Eagles and Cowboys were two that we kind of debated. The Eagles obviously talked about every single year, and the Cowboys are kind of like, they got to win while they're paying Dak, but, like, can you take them seriously with that defense? I liked their draft. I actually think that they made some good decisions there. My question for you is there another NFC team that inevitably you will be keeping an eye on as someone who covers the Seahawks that had a pretty good night, or that you thought, like, ooh, the NFC race is kind of spicy after a few of these?
Well, I mean, the 49ers didn't add a player last night, but they made some trades back, and I'm very curious to see what they do with this first pick of the second round. It would not shock me if they go R. Mason Thomas there, a guy that the Seahawks had a good deal of interest in, brought him in for a visit, and you know, we all know what happened with that San Francisco defensive front last season, where, you know, what had long been a strength for them was the most glaring weakness on the entire team, just because they lost some guys, including Nick Bosa. And so would not surprise me if they go R. Mason Thomas first overall. We'll see if they, you know, maybe add a running back later. Christian McCaffrey's kind of getting up there in age, and so we'll see what they do. But yeah, I can't say I loved the Cardinals' decision with their first pick, or you know, I understand the Rams' decision, so I can't say, I'm not really going to rip that one. But yeah, the Cardinals one was one that was just, did not love that.
Yeah, they had a head scratching pick, yeah, with Jeremiah Love. Another team that I think surprised some with what they did with a pick that they haven't had in a long time would be Kansas City, when they moved up to pick number 6, taking the corner out of LSU, Mansour Delane. Brady, Stacey and I, we've kind of been talking about it, where it's like Kansas City, it feels like they're kind of nearing the end of their title window, and I don't know if Delane necessarily addresses their biggest need. I know they did lose, like you said, McDuffie and Watson, but they've been searching forever, it seems like, for a number 1 receiver, and you had Jordan Tyson come off the board just a couple picks after that. How surprised were you to see Kansas City go corner that high in the draft?
Not surprised that they took a corner with their first round pick. Maybe a little surprised that they traded up to do that. I would have to go back and look at this. I don't know if this is true, but I imagine that the positions that teams trade up for, like that high in the draft, I imagine you're seeing a lot more quarterbacks, obviously, and edge guys. And I wonder, this is something for somebody to look into. Maybe I will if I have some time later. But how many times corners get, you know, drafted that high for a team that moved up to get them? So I get it, though. You know, it makes plenty of sense that you lose 2 really good guys and you spend your first round pick on a guy to replace one of them. I just didn't see them trading up necessarily to do that. But, you know, they also are, you know, maybe there is a case to be made that, you know, look, Mahomes is not going anywhere anytime soon, but Kelsey is getting up there in age. It sounds like this may be his last year. Chris Jones also getting up there in age. So maybe there is an urgency to, maybe they are kind of putting more of their eggs into this season's basket than they otherwise would. But yeah, I did not see them trading up for a cornerback.
Last one before we get to some of the goals in terms of players that have caught your eye or positions of need is just a basic question about what you think Seattle's plan could be. Are you still fully expecting them to be entertaining some trade back offers with just 2 picks today?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think that they want to end up with more than 4. It just always depends on, what's still left there and what you got to find a trade partner. I keep saying that because we've seen, it takes 2 teams to trade, and it takes the right offer and takes another team willing to move up for a guy that they really like who's going to be there. So I still kind of think cornerback and edge are the 2, and maybe safety. I would throw that in there. I would say in no particular order, the 3 positions I am, I think there's the best chance that they address here on day 2 is cornerback, edge, and safety or safety. So I think Brock always has a really good feel for this. And the guys that he profiles, those are guys that are very much worth paying attention to. And one of the guys was Gabe Akis from Illinois. I think he also did one on Traden Stukes, Curtis's guy from Arizona, the safety from Arizona. Right. And there's some corners who fell in. Surprisingly, only 2 cornerbacks were drafted in the first round.
I thought there'd be a run. I thought that the 20s would be a run. We'd see Colton Hood go and Avion Terrell or something else. But
Jermon McCoy. Yeah,
yes.
the other Tennessee corner, D'Angelo Pont. I don't think he was a first round guy, but so the point is, if you're looking for a corner, they got to wait quite a while unless they trade up. But there could be a good cornerback, maybe even one who is generating some first round buzz that. Maybe they don't get to 64, but maybe they get to within striking distance.
We've only got Brady until 2, so we're going to go with a few listener questions about,
until 3.
Until 3. Sorry, I keep misspeaking.
We'll just have Bump on with us.
No, Brady, we have you until 3. Please don't leave.
Well, he's already where he needs
here.
To be.
But I wanted to get to questions relatively early, so you can get those in for Brady. I know you guys are going to have a couple. 866-979-3776. I didn't want to wait until the end of the show is what I was going to say. I want to be able to get some questions early for Brady while we have him here. So we're going to, coming up, take a look at what's needed in day 2, some options, some intriguing names. And then at 1:45, we'll touch base with listeners and get a few of those questions for Brady. It's all coming your way next.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Game Wasabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Have you looked outside today? No, I'm serious. If you haven't, do it right now. It's gorgeous. Spring is here, summer is around the corner, and you deserve to be out on the water. And that's exactly what I did last week on the Arc Sport. You can do it too. The Arc Sport is a fully electric wake boat from Arc, and you can book a demo to go for a ride. Why wouldn't you? Absolutely, I would do it. Yes, if you're someone who already loves taking your boat out or you're in the market for one, I do have bad news. I'm warning you right now. You're going to fall in love with the Arc Sport. It's sleek. It's easy to operate, practically no maintenance because it's electric, so there's no winterization, no oil changes. That means next time you see a sunny day like today, you can be on the water right away. Charging it up is easy. The software actually improves with time, and how often can you say that about something you purchase? You really have to see and experience this boat for yourself, though, so do it. Book a demo. It's easy. They'll pick you up on Lake Washington, Lake Union, or Lake Sammamish if you can't come to them in Kirkland. Go to arcboats.com/demo. Fill out the form, and you'll be on the water. Arc, you have to see it to believe it.
511 is now part of Seattle in the South Center Mall. It's more than a brand, it's a lifestyle built on reliability and performance. Whether you're on duty, on the trail, working out, or out for adventure, 511 delivers purpose-built clothing, bags, and footwear that stand up to the toughest demands. 511 gear is trusted by those who never settle for less. Choose 511 and live ready for anything. Are you ready to discover your 511? 511, now part of Seattle in the South Center Mall.
Hi, Chuck here at Frank Lumber the Door Store. One of our most popular services is our match-up service, where we use your old door as a template to create a new door in your existing frame. Whether you need an interior or exterior door, this is a great way to change out your doors DIY style. And as long as we have what you need in stock, we currently have available space without a long wait for our same-day match-up service. Please visit us in Shoreline, where there's plenty of good parking. Also, check us out online at franklumber.com.
The chartered plane to Queen Charlotte Lodge is on the runway, and you're not going to want to miss it. This summer has limited availability for king salmon, halibut, and lingcod fishing in beautiful Haida Gwaii, British Columbia. Queen Charlotte Lodge is absolutely the place to be. A luxury resort and amazing fishing with your buddies, dad, or son. Book your stay at fishqcl.com, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience fishing first class. And remember, our dollar's worth $1.35 north of the border.
I had pain, I had numbness in my feet. That pain and that numbness just got worse and worse and worse as time went on.
This is Greg describing life with neuropathy.
I went to 5 podiatrists, tried different treatments, tried different orthotics, tried different shoes, had cortisone shots in the tops and the bottoms of my feet. Saw a neurologist. All my medical doctors said, can't help you. Live with the pain. You're not going to be able to sleep. This is your life. And then I just gave up until I found Sound Pain Solutions.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Our neuropathy treatments can rehabilitate damaged nerves. We use FDA-cleared, non-surgical, drug, and pain-free procedures that help neuropathy sufferers like Greg find relief.
I feel better. I mean, just feeling better is huge.
If you experience numbness, shooting or burning pains, or loss of balance, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As a social influencer, my days can be busy. 4 a.m., I hit the gym. 4:32, protein smoothie. 5:08, save time and money bundling my home and auto insurance with Progressive. Wait, if I bundle and save time, what would I do then? Just sit here and reflect? Like, why am I qualified to influence anyone? And how those weights are hollow? And half of my followers are bots.
You could save time and money bundling your home and auto when you switch to Progressive. It's one less thing to worry about during your already busy day. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, homeowners, are you stuck on the credit card treadmill and stressed because your consumer debt and monthly payments are too high? Well, Brock Hewitt here with a smart solution. Your home's equity in the Seattle Metro is probably larger than ever. It's like you're sitting on a stack of cash. Consider a cash-out refinance with Tila Mortgage to consolidate your high-balance credit cards, second mortgages, home equity lines of credit, and student loans, or get cash for a remodel. With interest rates finally coming down, consolidating your debt now may be the best decision you ever make. With excellent client reviews and trusted in Washington for over 25 years, Tila has competitive rates on refinance, purchase, or reverse mortgages too. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Call Tila Mortgage today, 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888, or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046. This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Brady Henderson is with us. I'm collecting a few questions for Brady. Normally we do What I Need to Know 145. I'm just turning it into kind of like, here are all of our questions about the draft. Seahawks expert Brady Henderson. Right now, though, I wanted the three of us to talk about what the Seahawks kind of still need to do. Entering into night one of the draft, we said, what's the goal this weekend? What's the goal for the Seahawks? Right now, I just want to do like, hey, what's the move for the next 2 days? Is the primary thing that you're watching for to trade back? Are there some corners that you have your eye on? So, Brady, I'll start with you. what to you is a priority for Seattle and something that you kind of expect them to do?
I would expect them to continue to try to trade down. And look, it always, like I said, it always depends on, I don't think it's trade down at all costs, no matter what. It's trade down, assuming that, when it comes to your pick, that you either don't love any of the guys that are there, or you do love a cluster of guys and you're confident that at least one or two of them are going to be available by whatever spot that are still going to be available at whatever spot you trade back into. And so if they feel like, they need to have a guy, a certain guy who's, still in that range, and they get an offer to trade back, but they think that somebody is going to take him in the meantime, then, I don't think they trade. But it's so that's my way of saying it always depends on what the exact situation is. And I don't think it's necessarily trade back at all costs, but wherever they end up making that first pick of day 2, again, the positions I'm going to be keeping a close eye on are edge, corner, and safety. And, we talked yesterday about, when we say edge, like what kind of edge guy does that mean? I think what they really need more so is a speed guy to replace Boye Mafe. And, our Mason Thomas is one of those guys. I don't think he's going to be left by the time they pick at the end of the first round, or end of the second round. But, he is, to me, he's the type of edge rusher that they really need. Somebody who can get those quick wins and be kind of a complement to the, more powerful guys that they have with Uchenna Nwosu, DeMarcus Lawrence. And I can kind of consider Derek Hall as kind of something in between those two, types of players, because he's a rugged guy who also has some speed off of the edge. But I do think they need a good speed guy to replace Boye Mafe, because that's really what Mafe gave them. And that skill set was a nice complement to the other guys that they have. That said, if they do pick an edge guy, I don't know necessarily that it will be a speed guy, because they're looking at guys like, Gabe Akis. I believe, I would imagine that there's some interest in him, and he was another guy that Brock Huard profiled. And he kind of looks more of like that bigger guy. So an edge guy at some point of some type, I think they need, just because, again, it's an immediate need with Mafe leaving in free agency, also a long-term need, just when you look at the fact that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to turn 34 here in a few days. Uchenna Nwosu is going to turn 30, I think, in December, and he's battled, the injury issues. The 2 seasons before last year, he was pretty healthy for the most part last year, but the age and the injury history and the fact that the contract is up after this season, I think they need to restock there.
Do you think maybe, because I know Zion Young is a name that a lot of people kind of projected would be in the Seahawks vicinity at pick 32. I believe he's still on the board, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he got picked last night. So you look at kind of the off-the-field stuff with Zion Young, and maybe that's a big risk to take in the first round. Do you think if he's there, I mean, I don't know how likely it is that he's there at 64, but he's there to start the second round, so there's going to be probably a potential for him to slip. But if he's there at 64, Brady, do you think that is somebody who, even with the off-the-field concerns, the Seahawks would potentially take, since it's not necessarily, a super high pick?
My gut tells me no. And I'm not reporting this. I don't have like any rock solid information on this whatsoever. But I have constantly wondered about whether or not he is their kind of guy. And that's not necessarily because of the DWI that he got. They brought him in for a visit, and I'm sure that they asked him questions about that to try to get a better feel for what happened and just the kind of guy he is off the field. And I'm not saying this because I necessarily think that incident was a deal breaker for them, just because I know that there's been similar situations with draft prospects in previous years where, they haven't necessarily taken that guy off their board because of that. So I don't know. It's just something about it that makes me wonder if he is their kind of guy. He certainly, again, he plays a need position, and I think stylistically might be the kind of player that they really like, just that rugged, physical, edge setting, tone setting kind of guy. Something tells me I'm not certain that he is their kind of guy.
How do you notice different draft habits from Schneider without Carroll and with Mike instead?
Oh, that's a good one. I would have to think more about. I mean, the obvious one that comes to mind is cornerbacks, and we all know the arm length requirement that Pete Carroll really liked when he was here. It was if you were ever wondering about which cornerbacks the Seahawks might be interested in the draft.
Arms?
Yeah, you could basically eliminate like a good chunk of the field. Yeah. It was guys that had arms shorter than 32 inches. Now, they did kind of ease up on that requirement, I think, in the later years. And I don't even know if Devin Witherspoon, who was the first pick of the final draft class under Carroll, I didn't even know if he had 32-inch arms. I'd have to go back and look. But my point is they sort of relaxed that a little bit because they realized they were disqualifying players that ended up being pretty good in the NFL despite not having that ideal arm length in their eyes. So, but that said, I don't really know exactly. It's just there hasn't been enough evidence to know exactly what makes up a Mike Macdonald ideal corner. I think I can say, though, with some level of confidence that he's got to be physical and he's got to be able to tackle. And that was one of many reasons why I thought Chris Johnson would have been a good fit for them and one of the reasons why I picked him in our mock draft. And, that skill set is – look, I'm not trying to rag on Reek Woolen. Good for him for getting a nice deal elsewhere. I think that was one of several reasons why there was never any really chance that he was going to get a second contract in Seattle. Is just not the most physical, not the most willing, able tackler. And so if the Seahawks are going to take a cornerback, especially if it's going to be in day two, it's got to be somebody who they feel good about that guy's tackling ability. And there's a guy, Avion Terrell, who has been linked to them. I saw some people had mocked him to the Seahawks at one point. He's a guy whose physicality I would wonder about just because, and you look at him and he's obviously got the pedigree. His brother is a first-round cornerback and a really good player in the NFL, but just as a smaller guy, I would wonder if he has that kind of playing style in him.
All right, get some questions in. Get your questions in for Brady, 866-979-3776. Brady's not going to leave, but we're going to, midway through Brady's time with us.
I ain't leaving.
He's not going anywhere, but midway through, we're going to get to some of your questions, so you can text those in now, 866-979-3776. That's next.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon, with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Game Wasabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
After years of wear and tear, Joe had osteoarthritis in his wrists and shoulders.
I've pretty much worked out my whole life. I actually decided I'm going to train for a half Ironman triathlon.
The pain was interfering with every part of his life.
Basically, can't sleep, causing those kind of problems, very limited movement.
Joe had surgery, but it wasn't the fix he was looking for.
The doctor told me, he's like, hey, this is just going to be a partial fix. You're going to eventually need joint replacement.
That's when he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
And they're just getting better. I can basically do full motion. I don't have really any pain.
What kinds of things are you able to do now that you weren't before?
I like to golf, and it definitely has made my golf game not as painful. And sleeping. I mean, I'm sleeping better because I don't have that aching at night going on and having to roll over.
So, are you recommending this to others?
Oh, everybody I talk to. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Our number one thing with them is always like, hey, welcome someone in and assure them that they're in the right place. We're going to take care of them.
Lee Johnson Auto Family, the LJ way.
Listen every morning to Brock and Salk for Need to Know, powered by Marquee Data. Marquee IQ brings all your data together into one clear view. Stop running your business on highlights. Get the full picture. Visit datathatwins.com to learn more.
Progressive knows you could have easily taken the freeway, but you took the scenic route to see a waterfall and an oddly busy boiled peanut stand. Discovering the unexpected is exactly why you bought an RV, so protect it with a bundle from Progressive. Because although you may be 3 hours behind schedule, you're 6 jars of jam richer and possibly enrolled in a butter churning workshop. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home and auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
You can count on the Seattle Times for local news and information on your teams and your scores. Mariners, Seahawks, Sounders, Kraken, Storm, Huskies, Cougars, Rain. Get inside the game and go beyond the stats. The Seattle Times is always there with game summaries, player interviews, and play-by-play analysis. Don't miss a play. Stay in the game and in the know for what's next. Read our coverage at seattletimes.com/sports.
Spring is here, Seattle, and now is the smartest time to replace your roof. Trust your neighbors at 3 Tree Roofing, a local, family-owned company that knows how to roof in Washington weather year-round. Schedule your free estimate today at 3treeroofing.com to take advantage of spring pricing, shorter wait times, and get $500 off your new roof before the summer rush hits. Our experts come to you, build a clear plan, and give you an estimate that same day. No surprises and no high-pressure sales tactics. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Mariners and Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 5:15, pregame at 4. Hear every pitch live for free on the Seattle Sports app.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Hello, my friends. It's the Graz here, encouraging you to golf local. Our region is blessed with a ton of golf that isn't very expensive and can accommodate all types of skill levels. Check out the premier courses at Bellevue, Bill Wright, Cedar Crest, Interbay, Jackson Park, Lake Padden, Legion Memorial, Linwood, or Walter Hall. You know, wherever you are in Western Washington, you're not far from a premier course. Why not book a tee time online or play Top Tracer at the range at Interbay, Bill Wright, and Jackson Park? So what are you waiting for? Play the courses. Play Premier.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. I spoke with Dr. Meyer, the medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, and Dr. Meyer said Swedish CyberKnife patients are really satisfied with their experience. They report very few side effects, and they're seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later. To learn more, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate or call 206-320-7187.
CyberKnife is a registered trademark of Accuray Incorporated and is used with permission.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Bump is going to hop on with all of us at 2 p.m. I think we should just keep adding people. Pretty soon it's like
and go all night.
Joining me, Curtis, Brady, and Bump, and Brock and Bob. It's Dave Wyman.
And then it's Brian Walters.
We have some
like that Fox pregame show.
Exactly. It just keeps
Jerry,
expanding.
JB, Terry, Howie, Jimmy. All those
Jadarian Price is here. Get your questions in for what I need to know with Brady Henderson here, 866-979-3776. Brady, says one listener, we need an update on the status or injury rehab for guys. What'd you hear about Charbonnet, McIntosh, Horton? Anything from last night from either John or Mike?
Not really, no. I mean, somebody asked Mike McDonald about Charbonnet, and he said, can't really give you a timetable, but he's doing well. He's crushing it. I think one of the reasons why they've been optimistic with Charbonnet is because they know the kind of professional he is. And they expect that professionalism to translate into the way that he attacks his rehab. So it sounds like he's doing that, but there's just no information on, when he might be back, and they probably don't even know that themselves. So they would just be, probably just be, giving everybody a date right now just to do that if they were to do that. So I don't think anybody really knows, but it sounds like there's optimism that he's going to give himself the best chance to get back as soon as possible.
I'm going to do a question for all of us.
Okay.
We're all backseat GM right now. Pick someone you love for the Seahawks today for day 2.
Ooh, well, I think R. Mason Thomas would be a good fit again for what they need as a speed guy, but I don't think he's going to be there by anywhere close to the end of the second round. And in fact, as I said, it wouldn't shock me if San Francisco takes him with the first pick of the second round. There are some corners who are still available, including some guys that even generated first round buzz. Jermon McCoy from Tennessee. He, of course, is coming off of the pretty serious knee injury, and it sounds like there's been some concern with teams around the league about maybe the long-term impact of that. I think at some, and that certainly that explains why he fell out of the first round. I think at some point when a guy is that talented and he's still available, that much later beyond where he would otherwise go if he was healthy, I think at some point it becomes worthwhile to take a gamble on him in the hopes that he can stay healthy. So he may not even get to this, get to anywhere near the Seahawks pick at 64. But the fact, I think it's good news that there are a handful of first round caliber cornerbacks, maybe late first, early second round guys that did not go last night. Again, only 2 cornerbacks went in the entire first round. So you still got guys like Brandon Cisse from South Carolina, another guy that the Seahawks took a look at, brought him in for a visit. I'm checking my list here. And Colton Hood is another one, the other Tennessee cornerback, who, again, another guy who generated some first-round buzz, still available. And there's more guys beyond that, but those are 3 names that people have probably heard of to this point.
Curtis, any advice you want to give John Schneider for who you should take today?
Yeah, all that analysis is great, Brady, but we're going off of vibes here. The Seahawks, who practice on Lake Washington, are taking D'Angelo Ponds out of Indiana.
D'Angelo Ponds.
Thank you.
There you go. Bodies of water.
Because that's the common theme.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there you go. I thought you were going to go Genesis Smith. They're going to find him Home by the Sea.
My other Arizona guy.
Yeah, that's a great Genesis song, by the way, Home by the Sea.
Someone has a non-sports question. They want to know what they should get their wife for their anniversary.
What anniversary is it?
I don't know. They should for their anniversary.
There's the kind of gift that matches up to what an anniversary number is. I mean, obviously take her out. Like that's a given. And go to a place that is maybe a little bit out of your price range, I would say. A weekend away is always a lot of fun for an anniversary. Maybe go to a place you haven't gone before. Go to a place that you guys have always kind of talked about and said, it'd be really fun to go there.
Yeah. You're talking to a guy who's given some gifts to significant others that did not land all that well.
What?
So my advice would be, I don't even know. I wasn't like a treadmill or anything like that, but
you look like you used one of these.
No. It wasn't anything like that crazy. But my point is, ask the happily married guy. Don't ask me.
We had this running joke where my stepdad every year would get my mom a pan, like a new pan, and he'd be really excited about it. And my sister and I, after a while, were like, her head is going to explode. Like, she does not want a pan to cook you dinner in.
Yeah.
This is not what she wants for Christmas.
Here's a pan to hit me over the head
Yeah,
with.
exactly. Yeah. What I need to know, a question for Mr. Henderson, says the 949. Why do you think mainstream media graded the Seahawks so poorly on their pick? The lamestream media. Basically, why do you think that some outlets did give Seattle maybe like a C minus? Just weren't super enthused.
Look, I think that I have many thoughts on this, probably more than we can fit into this segment. But who is saying this, and how qualified is that opinion really? Are these like? Look, it'd be one thing if I reached out to a scout from another team,
Sure.
and he said, I hated that decision. That's a qualified opinion that I would put some stock into, but some guy from who knows what outlet who is just, throwing things around and doesn't really maybe have a professional eye for talent, then I'm like, okay, whatever. And look, it's also, I think there's an element of this of if you're giving everybody A's and B's and the worst grade you give is a C, I think there is some thought that like, well, you got to spice things up and you got to say somebody really screwed the pooch with this draft. And so I don't put it, if you haven't heard of the outlet, and I wouldn't put any stock into whatever grade they give a team, whether it's great or awful or anywhere in between.
This one's for Brady, but we'll all answer. Brady's boating edition. What's the go-to boat snack? Do you go charcuterie board, cold fried chicken? What do you eat on the water?
Well, when I'm like taking the boat out, what are we talking about?
The
here?
boat snack. For boating.
The boat doesn't leave the marina all that often. I don't know if people know this or not, but I'm not very skilled at maneuvering the boat in and out of the slip. And you've got like very expensive yacht right in front of me, very expensive yacht right behind me. Mine is not expensive, but mine could potentially do some damage to them. So I don't even want to mess with that. So the boat, it really does not leave unless my brother is up, and he's the expert boat captain. So what do I eat? I mean, I don't know. I eat
the food I eat at home.
Too much junk. Yeah, too many sweets probably.
Look, the answer can't be charcuterie board. I'll say that. Not on a boat. You can't.
And
that's
by yourself,
too many moving pieces.
Well, that's a lot of sodium too. Just on your own, you can't be.
It's a little too fancy. I don't go that fancy either.
Yeah. That texter who asked what they should get their wife for their anniversary, they've updated it. It's their first anniversary on May 4th, but then their first child is due on the 6th. That's a quick turnaround.
Ooh.
I would say get something that is going to kind of pamper your wife, like a spa day, maybe like a couple's spa day or something like that. Because, I mean, if she is going to be that close to giving birth, she wants something that is going to be comfortable, not something that is going to be uncomfortable.
Brady, how willing do you think the Seahawks would be, just a quick answer here, to trade next year's picks to move up?
Yeah, that is something I wondered about, and that was when I was talking earlier about, if some guy gets to within striking distance of them with that 64th pick, maybe they could move up. It's hard to do that if you're just talking about the capital they have this year with only the 2nd, 3rd, and the 6th rounder, but I have wondered about that. They are projected to get those 4 compensatory picks next year, and I believe they have their usual complement of native picks. So maybe that does come into play. I mean, it's also next year's draft. Sounds like it's going to be better, so maybe you don't want to dip into next year's pool knowing that you can still get a pretty good player with that pick if you just stay put there. I wouldn't rule it out is my short answer.
Getting you guys ready for day 2 of the draft with Curtis, Brady, and in a few minutes, Bump.
Seattle's best NFL draft coverage is only getting started. This afternoon with the Mariners and Cardinals on the airwaves with pregame starting at 4.
Holy smokes!
Be one of the cool kids and pull up Seattle sports draft coverage on YouTube on one screen and stream the Mariners live on the second screen.
Holy catfish!
Or go double browser tab. It's your world, Game Wasabi. We're just making sure it's loaded with content. Only from the home of the Seahawks and the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
D.R. Horton's National Red Tag Sales Event is going on right now through May 3rd. Stop by any of its participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. Visit drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Hello, Seattle. Bank of America, in partnership with Visa, invites you to a FIFA World Cup 26 watch party. Open an eligible Bank of America checking account in participating financial centers only for an opportunity to reserve 2 complimentary tickets while supplies last. Experience special musical guests, games, giveaways, food, and more, all at a legendary venue. Learn more at BofA.com/BofA Visa Watch Party. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 26. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
It's WFC 190 World Fighting Championship at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center. Saturday night, April 25th. Experience the thrill and excitement of high-energy professional mixed martial arts. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss this amazing mixed martial arts event. WFC 190 World Fighting Championship, April 25th at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Stacy here. Sell your car to Wayscar Ford, and when they resell it, they share half their profit with you. That's right. Sell your car to Wayscar Ford, Isuzu, and Auburn. They'll pay you today for your car, and once they resell it, they'll share half their profit with you. WayscarFord.com.
Hey, Mike Salk here with Dr. Coogan from Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. And Doc, what do you say to people who are considering those GLP-1 injections for weight loss?
Before you start, ask yourself this. Are you prepared to spend $3,000 to $5,000 per year and stay on the medications long-term to maintain the results? Many prescription weight loss injections require weekly shots, and when the medication is stopped, weight gain is common. And most people don't realize research shows a significant portion of the weight lost can come from muscle, which may slow your metabolism and make keeping the weight off even harder.
From personal experience, I can tell you Eastside Weight Loss Clinic takes a different approach, a doctor-developed program helping people lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days.
No injections, no synthetic hormones, no long-term dependence. Instead, we use real food to reset your metabolism, control hunger, and cravings naturally.
So come to their clinic in Kirkland or do the program from anywhere you live with easy remote options. If you want a safe, affordable alternative to weight loss injections,
go to EastsideWeightLossClinic.com to keep the weight off for good.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto Repair has been the one locals trust for honest pricing, expert service, and guaranteed repairs. This dedication has earned them a Carfax Preferred designation. At Bucky's, every customer gets detailed Carfax updates, timely service reminders, and a full service history, all at your fingertips. With 16 family-owned locations, no appointment needed, and easy financing, Bucky's makes auto care simple. Visit Bucky's.com today and drive with confidence. Bucky's.com.
Sebastian's shoulder injury was dramatic.
I was snowboarding down a really steep hill. I hit a tree and went straight through it and came out the other side and had torn my shoulder up.
And the pain?
The pain level was probably at a 9 and the shock level was at about a 15.
I can imagine. It even affected the simplest things.
Couldn't even put the seatbelt on in my car.
Instead of surgery, he went to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for Stem Cell Therapy, the most experienced in the Northwest with over 20,000 stem cell procedures.
It's way better. I got much better mobility. It doesn't ache as much.
Do you recommend it to people who may be considering surgery?
Absolutely. I got a lot of faith in the way that the science is developing around it, and why not heal your body with your own body?
So whether it's a hip like I had or a shoulder, elbow, ankle, wrist, knee, whatever it is, before choosing surgery,